We will go ahead and call the meeting to order. It's already pressed. Let me just get it closer. Hold on. Okay. So good evening, everyone. We're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. We're going to go to 1.2, Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Tillman, could you do the Pledge of Allegiance? Please stand.
Please stand. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Mr. Tillman. Okay, before I make a motion, Dr. Volkemer, do we have any changes?
Yes, Ms. Medina, we'd like to make two changes under the consent agenda. We'd like to, first of all, pull 7.15 in its entirety from the agenda.
Okay.
And then we have when we get to 7:10, we have a read-in. I won't read it in now, but when we get to consent, we'll pull it, and then we'll have a read-in.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you.
Any other items?
No other changes.
Okay. Well, then let's go ahead and I'm going to call for a motion.
So moved to accept and adopt the agenda.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, motion carries. 2.1, special recognition, Principal Elizabeth Cochrane-Benoit. Benoit.
We need to read it.
Hold on. My glasses. So the board will recognize Norton Elementary School Principal Elizabeth Cochrane-Benoit on receiving the Sister Thea Bowman Leadership and Service Award from the Knights of Peter Claver Ladies Auxiliary. Mr. Volkemer, Dr. Volkemer? Oh.
I don't see her in the audience, so
Yeah, I don't see her either.
let's
Okay.
postpone it and then we'll come back.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and postpone that one, 2.1. Let's move towards 2.2. If we can have Dr. Hill, if you could, Dr. Flores, could you read recognition of Cinco de Mayo?
Yes, thank you. Recognition of Cinco de Mayo. Whereas the date, May 5th, 1862, marks a vital and significant time in the battle for Mexican independence. And whereas promoting knowledge of the importance of the meaning of this date, Cinco de Mayo is necessary so that our students know about the bravery and courage displayed by the Mexican people in their struggle for independence. And whereas all students in our community need to be aware of Mexican history and how it affects the Mexican people north of the United States-Mexico border, as well as south of the border. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the San Bernardino City Unified School District declares the schools in the district acknowledge the historical importance and heroism commemorated in the celebration of Cinco de Mayo, and further that schools recognize the impact of Mexican culture and tradition on the history and friendship between Mexico and the United States. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, motion carries. 2.3, recognition of the Day of the Teacher. Dr. Hill, could you read that?
Thank you, Madam President. Recognition of Day of the Teacher. Whereas the Board of Education of the San Bernardino City Unified School District is honored each year to participate with other school districts in California in declaring a day to celebrate teachers, and whereas May 9, 2018 has been designated the Day of the Teacher in California, honoring the thousands of women and men who have chosen the education profession and who are building exemplary careers in this field. And whereas additionally, May 11, 2018 has been chosen as the day to honor teachers in the San Bernardino City Unified School District who are second to none in their chosen profession. Therefore, be it resolved that the members of the Board of Education of the San Bernardino City Unified School District take this opportunity to express their gratitude and appreciation to the teachers of the district for their service, dedication, and professional excellence in providing quality education to every student in this school system. And be it further resolved that May 11, 2018 be declared a day to honor and express appreciation to all members of the teaching staff of district schools. So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? Okay, let's vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, motion carried. Let's go to 2.4, recognition of National Nurse Day. Dr. Wyatt, could you please read that, please?
Thank you, Madam President. Recognition of National School Nurse Day. Whereas the Board of Education at San Mateo City Unified School District wishes to acknowledge the important role played by school nurses in providing quality care to students enjoyed school districts in California and across the U.S. and recognizing May 9th, 2018 as National School Nurse Day. And whereas the district is fortunate to have 22 school nurses who work as a team to provide mandated vision and hearing screenings, as well as dental and scoliosis screenings for students, conduct more than 1,000 health assessments annually, and provide hundreds of medical treatments for children with special medical needs. And whereas students' attendance and academic achievement benefit significantly from having a school nurse, and schools and communities benefit greatly from the expertise and guidance of school nurses on issues such as infectious disease, prevention, and control. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the San Mateo City Unified School District does take this opportunity to celebrate and acknowledge the accomplishments of school nurses and recognize May 9th, 2018 as National School Nurse Day. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? If not, let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion carried. Let's go to 2.5, resolution in support of federal gun control action and safety, school safety. Mr. Tillman, could you please read that one?
Thank you, Madam President. Resolution in support of federal gun control action and school safety. Whereas senseless and tragic mass shootings at schools and other places clearly demonstrate gun-related violence can occur any place at any time. And whereas the crisis of gun violence in our country requires a coordinated and collaborative effort involving entire communities, elected officials, law enforcement, and the entire justice system. And whereas San Bernardino educators do not support the arming of educators in schools and instead believe our schools should be armed with increased counseling, mental health support, restorative justice, nursing, and trauma-informed care. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education of the San Bernardino City Unified School District joins the San Bernardino Teachers Association in demanding action from our state and federal representatives to reinstate the assault weapon ban and adopt stricter controls governing the sale, transfer, possession, manufacturing, and the distribution of all firearms, dangerous weapons, and ammunition. Be it further resolved that the Board of Education of the San Bernardino City Unified School District supports students and educators' rights to free speech, to be able to stand up against gun violence, for school safety, and we are committed to supporting National Day of Action Against Gun Violence in Schools activities on April 20th, 2018. So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Now let's go ahead and call for the vote.
Yeah, I'd like a little bit of discussion. I just want to know, I'm just not going to vote on paragraph 4. I'm not in favor of paragraph 4. And
Are you talking about the
So,
whole piece?
just paragraph 4, the first be it resolved. So if that could be noted in the record, that I'll vote no for that part and okay for the rest.
And, okay, and so it just okay. I'm just trying to reread it again.
Well, it's been moved to second. We just vote on the
Yeah,
resolution.
just vote, but I
Yeah.
just want
We
it for
just-
the,
You
I
just
want
want it on the
for the
record.
record. I
Okay.
want the record to
So then all those in
reflect that I'm not in favor of paragraph 4.
Okay,
Right.
all right, thank you. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay. Motion carried. Let's go to 2.6, resolution in support of apportioning 3.0 billion in 2018-19 from Proposition 51, School Facilities Funds. I'm going to ask Ms. Rogers if she could read that.
Whereas Article 9, Section 5 of the California Constitution finds public education is a state responsibility, and whereas Article 1, Section 28 of the California Constitution states that public schools shall be safe, secure, and peaceful, and whereas the voters of the state of California have since 1982 consistently approved statewide school construction and modernization bond measures to provide resources through programs contained in the Lease Purchase Program and School Facility Program, Title I, Division I, Part 10, Chapter 12 and 12.5 of the Education Code, and whereas November 8, 2016, voters of California passed Proposition 51 that authorized the state of California to sell $9 billion worth of statewide school facility bonds, and whereas state school construction and modernization bonds as authorized by Proposition 51 are matched with funds provided by local communities through the passage of local bonds and developer fees, and whereas as of December 5th, 2017, there was a more than $3.2 billion backlog in project applications filed by school district seeking matching state bond funds, and whereas many school districts that filed their school facility program grant fund applications back in 2013 are still waiting on state funding to pay for school construction projects, and whereas it has been more than 1 year since voters approved $7 billion for K through 12 state school bonds in Proposition 51, and only approximately $600 million of K-12 Proposition 51 funds will be sold in 2017 and 18, and whereas this current pace of school bond sales does not meet the $3.2 billion backlog of submitted applications by school districts across the state, and whereas an average of more than 90% of previous statewide school bond funds were committed within 4 years of the measure's passage, and whereas the current pace of state school bond sales, it will be almost a decade before 90% of Proposition 51 K-12 funds will be committed, and whereas school districts facing rising construction costs, inflation, the longer the state delays bond sales to fund the submitted applications backlog, resulting in fewer students having access to new and renovated classrooms for Proposition 51, and whereas the federal government is increasing interest rates, resulting in taxpayers having to pay higher interest costs for school bonds the longer the state delays bond sales, and whereas Proposition 98 and the new local control formula funding are intended to improve educational achievements for all students, but do not provide dedicated facilities fundings, and whereas research demonstrates that quality school facilities have a positive impact on student academic performance, attendance, and teacher job satisfaction, and whereas the Coalition for Adequate School Housing proposes $3 billion in Proposition 51 bond sales in 2018-19 to meet most of the $3.2 billion application backlog as of December 2017, so that school districts receive the resources voters promised to adequately serve students, families, and their communities. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education calls on the state of California to process and apportion $3 billion in application backlog by December 31st, 2018, and sell $3 billion in Proposition 51 state school bonds during 2018-19 to honor the will of the California voters. Be it further resolved that the Board of Education adopts the resolution this April 3rd, 2018.
Wow, thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
I would like for us, Madam President, to send our resolution to the governor and to the legislature
Okay.
so that they know that we affirm the release of the money.
Okay.
And also to California School Boards Association, so
Okay.
that we're noted as supporting this issue.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, let's go ahead and vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, motion carried. Well, let's go back to 2.1. I believe Elizabeth is here. Linda Bardier, could you help with that?
I would like to ask the Board of Education to please come forward so that you can greet tonight's honoree. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're glad you've joined us to celebrate a special honor for one of our outstanding elementary school principals. Today, our Board of Education and Superintendent are pleased to recognize an honor which was recently bestowed upon Norton Elementary School Principal, Mrs. Elizabeth Cochrane-Benoit. At this time, I invite Elizabeth and her family to please join us up front to receive a special certificate of recognition. In March, Elizabeth received the Sister Thea Bowman Leadership and Service Award from the Knights of Peter Claver Ladies Auxiliary. This prestigious award honors dynamic women who are making a positive difference in their community. Elizabeth is a highly effective leader who is dedicated to helping Norton Elementary students explore careers in the fields of science, technology, engineering, and math through hands-on approaches that captivate students and get them engaged in and excited about learning. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give another round of applause to Mrs. Elizabeth Cochrane-Benoit. Yes, if there are any teachers from Norton, please come up. Your principal wants you to be part of this recognition. So any staff members from Norton, let's give them a round of applause. David? Let's give David a round of applause. And this concludes our recognition. Thank you.
Congratulations again. Let's go ahead and go to, let me see where I'm at. 3.1, key performance indicators, English learner progress indicator, reclassification, and by multilingual initiative.
Thank you, Madam President, Board. We're excited this evening to have a team from Educational Services and our English Learner Department to bring you some information about the new types of assessments and data that we get for our English learner students, as well as an update on a project that you approved some time ago, our multilingual initiative. So we're going to turn it right over to Dr. Mitchell, and he'll introduce his crew.
Thank you, Dr. Volkemer. So tonight, Board, we're really pleased to bring you, we really have a threefold purpose tonight. We can advance that slide. Perfect. If you go to the next slide, please. We want to accomplish three things tonight. Number one is we want to give you a preliminary overview of the new state accountability system for English learners. When I say preliminary, we'll ask you to consider a longer board workshop in the late summer after CASP release to really familiarize the board with the state's new accountability system, since it's so different, and we think it's going to necessitate much more time to train you all in terms of reading and interpreting the new accountability system. Number two, we want to share the exciting progress that our English learners are making on our current assessments and progress in schools. And third, we're excited to bring back an initiative that you chartered about 3 or 4 years ago around a multilingual initiative. And so our team's been hard at work on that initiative with our partners with CABE and other partners, and we want to share the progress as well as next steps of that initiative. And so at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Anna Applegate, our Director of EL Programs, and Barbara Richardson, our Director of Accountability and Educational Technology. So thank you, ladies.
Good evening, and we're going to go ahead and start with talking about the Title III accountability. And starting in the 2003-2004 school year, Title III accountability, or our accountability for English learner progress, was defined through the annual measurable achievement objectives. We worked with that system for many years, and up until 2015-16, where we had many shifts at the state level with the implementation of Common Core, the alignment of state testing, and we began to also look or move from the use of the California English Language Development Test, or the CELT, to the use of the English Language Proficiency Assessments for California, or the ELPI. So there's a new assessment embedded in our accountability measure for English learners as well. Along with these shifts, the California School Accountability, we moved from the use of those AMAOs to the use of the English Learner Progress Indicator, or what we refer to as the ELPI. The English Learner Progress Indicator measures the percent of our English learners who are making expected progress toward English language proficiency. The new California School Accountability considers both the status, meaning the percentage of English learners making expected progress, and the change, or the growth, from the previous year in determining how the state and federal government view our district progress with English learners. And so we're moving on to page 4. With the introduction of the ELPI, or the English Learner Progress Indicator, the California School Dashboard looks at the ELPI in terms of the status, or the baseline percentage, and the change or growth from our previous year's percentage. For each school accountability measure on the California School Dashboard, a 5x5 grid is used to determine your district or school performance marking. And you have a handout of that grid. Looks like this in your packet. We're going to kind of walk through how that works. So down the left-hand side of that 5x5 grid is the status. So you can see at the bottom very low, to the top of that column very high at 85% or greater. And then across the top is the change. And that goes from decline significantly by greater than 10% all the way to the right to increased significantly by 10% or greater. And the way this works is that you look at where those two intersect based on your status and change for the district. So if we look for San Bernardino City on the fall 2017 dashboard, we go 3 columns up to high because we were 76.4% of our students making expected progress. And then you go down the column, increased by 1.5 to less than 10% because we increased 6%. You go to where those two intersect and you'll see where it says English learners highlighted in green. That is where San Bernardino City fell for the 2017 fall dashboard. And so there's a status and change for each one of the indicators on the California dashboard, and this one is specific to the English Learner Progress Indicator. So,
Madam President, can I ask you a question? This doesn't include our reclassified students, or does it?
It does. It's a rather involved formula, and I can certainly send you that formula, but it includes our reclassified as well as our LTEL students that
That's
have
good.
made a year's
Okay, that's
progress.
excellent, because we've always have had to not include them, so then we looked like we were really low, when in fact our teachers were doing a great job. Okay. And Madam President, may I ask another question?
Yes.
So our
Yes, ma'am.
goal is to go to the blue, right? The top blue? On
Correct.
the right-hand side?
Correct. So green and
That's
blue
our
are
ultimate
top
goal.
indicators, and red, orange, and yellow indicate that more growth is needed.
Okay, that's great. Excellent.
All right, thank you.
So again, in the 2017 fall dashboard, we had 76.4% of our English learners, or 9,587 English learners, who made expected progress during the 2016-17 school year, and this was a 6% increase over the previous year. As we look at that data in comparison to other surrounding districts and districts that are like us, what you have in front of you on slide 6 is 3 years of the English learner progress indicator data. And those are grouped. You can see the legend below where you can see San Bernardino City Unified, Fontana, Rialto, Moreno Valley, Santa Ana, and Long Beach in each one of those groupings. And with that, San Bernardino City Unified is the first dark blue bar in the 3 years of data represented on the slide. SBCUSD experienced 11.9% increase between 2014-15 and the 2016-17 school year. In the first year, between 2015 and 2016, it was a 5.9% increase. And between 2016 and 2017, there was a 6% increase. So beyond just the steady increase of our English learner students making expected progress in English language development, we can also see that our ranking within those districts has changed. In 2014-15, that first set of bars, San Bernardino City Unified School District was second to the lowest district in comparison, with 64.5% of our English learners demonstrating expected progress. That was about 8,507 students. And by 2016-17, that last set of bars, San Bernardino City had moved in the rankings to second to the top. So we at 76.4% of our students making expected progress. And that 76.4% was representing 9,622 students in 2017.
Madam President?
Yes.
I would be really interested in, this is the composite, the total, but I would like to see it by grade and by school. Well, we have it over here by school, but I would like to see the numbers, just so that we know where we need to target our efforts in terms of our kids, and specifically, you know, by the time they are in 4th, 5th, 6th grade, they should have been reclassified, but also be at their, I don't know, do we look at the reading at the language arts data? Is that what we're looking at? This is the ELPI though, right? This is
Yeah.
not the.
So this is.
Do we at all compare the English language arts data with this data?
So in terms of students meeting and exceeding standards?
Right.
So that is not part of this calculation, but we look at that as we look at the breakdown of the academic indicators.
Right, okay, right, thank you. I would be interested in getting that, and seeing it.
So with that data and that update on our English learner progress, I'm going to turn over the mic to Anna, and she's going to talk about the progress of our multilingual initiative and the exciting developments that we have with our work with the schools.
Thank you. And thank you, Madam President, Ms. Medina, and Vice President Rogers, District English Board, Dr. Volkemer and Cabinet. It's really my pleasure to bring you the update on the Multilingual Initiative. Really didn't go anywhere, but there's a lot of work going behind the scenes. So as you know, you board were so progressive along with Dr. Marston and really looking forward to seeing how we can make programs better for all of our students and to really increase opportunities for all of our students. So as you know, the Multilingual Initiative is a really overarching, very, very ambitious plan. It's a huge plan. So we wanted to give you a little bit of a reminder of what happened in the timeline for the Multilingual Initiative. The design was adopted in 2014, along with the partnership with CABE. In fall 2014 through August 2016, there were over 30 meetings with probably over 600 participants in those meetings, several stakeholders from all educational aspects. We had community partners, professors, teachers, administrators, so it was a very, very wide stakeholder group. And then in November 2016, again, we thank you very much for being progressive and actually adopting the Multilingual Initiative. So thank you for that. And so we'll talk a little bit about what's been happening. So just as a reminder, I wanted to bring it up that the Multilingual Initiative has several components. We tend to focus on the language piece because, you know, foreign or world languages are really where we want to go. We want all of our students to be at least bilingual, if not multilingual upon graduation. That's an ambitious goal, but it's very doable. But I just wanted to bring it back and remind the board that there are several components, and there's been a lot of work going on in all of these areas. So the first component that you see is identification and placement of students. As you know, there was a lot of talk and a lot of action going around the new Resource Welcoming Center. So thank you for that. I know our parents are extremely appreciative and very happy to have a centralized enrollment area. So that was under the Multilingual Initiative. How can we make enrollment processes better so that our students can have greater access to these programs, not only English learners, but all of our students. So I think you'll see in just a little bit some of the changes that have been made there. We also made changes to the placement of English learners. That's one of the fundamental things that we wanted to have in place, is making sure that our English learners were placed correctly so they can receive the services that they so need. So we had placement charts, and that made a huge difference at the secondary level. You'll hear a little bit more about the language learning programs because we're going to highlight some of the exciting things that are going on. As far as the pedagogical practices, again, you'll hear a little bit right now about the Hanover study to really improve our pedagogical practices so that we can have the best, highest quality programs available. Instructional resources, you have been very kind, board, in allocating funds. So we definitely have been using those to the fullest to purchase curriculum for our students, digital devices, whatever is needed for them to have high quality programs. I just want to make a small correction. It was a last minute, the technology there on slide 8. We want to make sure that that is the parent and family engagement component. So I don't know how that happened, but that's a little different there. Instead of technology, it's parent and family engagement. That was a last minute correction. Okay. And you'll hear a little bit more about that. And we even had a conference for parents this last year. We had a conference over at Jones Elementary, and we're really trying to get them more involved in going and learning opportunities. We'll be taking about 60 parents to the Riverside CABE conference here in May. So we're really trying to help them find opportunities for learning as well. The professional preparation and support, we're very lucky that we have many partnerships, one with CABE, as I mentioned, and they're providing much staff development for our teachers, especially in the Spanish language. We want to make sure that our teachers that are teaching in dual have the proficiency in Spanish that they need to provide a high-quality program. So we've partnered with them on that. This last year, we partnered with Dr. Kate Kinsella, who's a renowned ELD specialist, and we had several of our teachers attend a series of trainings with Dr. Kinsella through the county. And we also are just very happy to announce that we co-applied for a grant with San Bernardino County Office of Education, and we did receive it, and that is to really help us enhance all of the bilingual teachers that are coming our way. There's more professional development involved with that, and then the county is also paying for these teachers to take exams, to take classes so that they can get their BCLADs. So that's what we would like to have, is a stream of teachers available to be able to teach in these programs. And then again, really looking at allocating all of our resources where they need to be. Thank you. So one of the things that we did under the Multilingual Initiative, which I think was really an exciting venture, Dr. Mitchell had the foresight to really to sit down and say, well, let's take a hard look at our programs. Let's really look at what we're doing before we start expanding and doing other things. So we were very lucky to go into a partnership with the Hanover Group. And this group of, this team of educators really proposed to have 3 different areas that they were going to help us in. The first one is they actually reviewed all the research out there on effective bilingual practices. They looked at districts that were getting good results. They told us what are some of the pedagogical effective practices that need to be done. And they have a wide range of people with different knowledge, so we got a lot of great information back from them. The second thing they did is they surveyed all of our stakeholders, teachers, principals, parents, the students themselves from 4th grade and up, took a survey about their program that they were in, how they felt about it, what they liked about it, how it benefited them. So we got quite a bit of information back from the stakeholders as well. And then the last piece is they took a data dive, a deep data dive, to really look to see what kind of results were some of the programs, what were we getting from the different programs, what type of results. So that was all very interesting. And with all that information, along with several committees, we are starting to make some changes to our programs. So we are rebranding our programs and we're making them as effective as possible. That's one effective, I think, something effective that came out of the Hanover study. The next thing, our long-term English learner action plan. We really have been successful in reclassifying some of our long-term English learners. That's a comprehensive plan, and one of the highlights of that plan is having a mentorship program. We actually have Cal State students that mentor our long-term English learners at the secondary level, and that's been very successful. We also have a focus on ELD this year. This last year, my team just really was focused on English language development and helping our teachers understand how to teach English language development. And I think as we embark on that more, you're going to see greater results about the students acquiring English. And I like to use Dr. Marston's phrase on the known, owned, and re-energized for reclassification. We're hoping that that's out there more, and I think people will say that there is a deeper focus on reclassification. As you know, we're going to have the big ceremony here coming up. And so we're excited about that. Everybody knows about reclassification, and I thank the cabinet for really helping us out. And one of the metrics on the principal's evaluation is reclassification. So that really, I think, opened people's eyes. So we're happy about that. And then we also have a great partnership with many departments. One that I'll highlight is special education. Mr. Dominguez and I are working collaboratively to train not only his team, my team, but we'll be rolling out training in the fall for all of our teachers on how they can best meet the needs of our duly identified students. So some of the exciting things that are happening, as I mentioned before, we now have the Welcoming Resource Center, and we've embarked on everything from brochures to pamphlets to posters to get the word out about our programs. Because I think one of the biggest hindrances, in my opinion, was that when they're enrolling at the school sites, many times personnel doesn't have the information on what to tell parents about certain programs. So you are going to watch a video that was created by our department that has now been used in training for all of our stakeholders at the school sites. So if we can go ahead and roll the video.
The San Bernardino City Unified School District offers a variety of educational program options for English learners. These program options are aligned to our district's multilingual initiative. Here is an overview of 4 educational program options that you can choose for your child. One is our English language mainstream program, currently available at all schools and at every grade level. This program includes English learners as well as native English-speaking students. All instruction is taught in English, and our teachers use various strategies to make the information understandable to every student.
Hola, mi nombre es Patricia Mondragón y yo soy maestra de primaria en segundo grado en la escuela Emerson Elementary. Lo que trato de hacer es proporcionar un ambiente rico en lenguaje. Y yo trato de diferenciar las actividades o los cursos que los estudiantes están haciendo. El programa de desarrollo de inglés para los estudiantes es importante porque ellos aquí pueden recibir estrategias y actividades que les ayudan a que ellos desarrollen su lenguaje, y lo hacemos de una manera para que cuando ellos salgan de este programa se sientan exitosos.
Another program available is our dual immersion program to help promote biliteracy and multiculturalism. Half of the students in each classroom are native Spanish speakers, and the other half are native English speakers. Both Spanish-speaking and English-speaking students are combined in the same classroom and taught to speak, read, and write in both languages. The district's dual immersion program is called a 90-10 model, where students receive 90% instruction in Spanish and 10% in English, starting in transitional kinder and kindergarten. As students progress through the grade levels, the amount of English increases. By the time your child reaches grades 4th, 5th, and 6th, 50% of the day is taught in Spanish and 50% is taught in English. In middle school and high school, students continue to study 3 subject areas in Spanish until they graduate.
Mi nombre es Norma Lembo. Trabajo para el distrito de San Bernardino desde hace 6 años. Soy maestra de kindergarten. Los niños aprenden 2 lenguas. Eso les ayuda no solamente en el ámbito personal, sino también en el ámbito mental. El programa bilingüe ayudará a los estudiantes no solamente a comunicarse, sino también a leer y escribir en una segunda lengua. El programa bilingüe les va a brindar a los estudiantes sabiduría sobre no solamente otro idioma, sino otras culturas, y van a poder leer, escribir y hablar en un segundo idioma.
The dual immersion program is currently available at 14 elementary schools, Arrowview Middle School, and San Bernardino High School. If a dual immersion program is not offered at your child's home school, you have the option to attend a program at another school. A third program available is the Maintenance Bilingual Program. Like the dual, the Maintenance Bilingual Program is also a 90-10 program. However, unlike dual immersion, it is only available to native Spanish-speaking students and is currently only at Gomez Elementary.
Mi nombre es Rosa Loera. Yo soy de las personas que creo en los programas bilingües, que sería de gran beneficio que el programa bilingüe existiera en todas las escuelas. Es de gran importancia que mantengan el español, que mantengan sus raíces. El segundo idioma le beneficia mucho en muchos lugares, especialmente en lo que es aquí Estados Unidos, porque tienen más oportunidad. El decir making hope happen es hacer la esperanza una realidad, y en esa esperanza se lleva el programa de español, el programa bilingüe, pero mantenerles a los niños esa fe y ese amor al hablar 2 o 3 idiomas.
As our multilingual initiative expands throughout the district, the maintenance program will also be available at other school sites in the future. If you are interested in your child attending this program, please contact the Language Assessment Center. A fourth program we offer is the Transitional Bilingual Program, which provides instruction in Spanish and English from transitional kinder through the 4th grade. The Transitional Bilingual Program follows a 90-10 model as well, but each year the amount of English increases until students receive all their instruction in English, which is by the 5th and the 6th grade.
Mi nombre es Ana Adame. Yo he estado con el distrito por 11 años. El programa ABE está diseñado para ayudar a los estudiantes hispanohablantes a transferir sus destrezas en el idioma español, de transferirlas al inglés. Es una buena opción que este distrito nos ofrece, y para mí necesitamos aprovecharla.
This program is only available at 11 elementary schools throughout the district. If a transitional bilingual program is not offered at your child's home school, you have the option to attend a program at another school. Based on federal and state requirements, students in all 4 program options are provided rigorous instruction, exposed to the same academic content at each grade level, and provided English language development on a daily basis. If you have additional questions about the best program option for your child, please contact the Language Assessment Center at 909-891-1037. We look forward to providing a quality multilingual education for your child.
And of course, our narrator is here, Mr. Frank Silva, celebrity now. So these are the type of informational videos, brochures, pamphlets, programs that we're really missing for our parents to get the information that they need in order to make an informed decision about programs. So we're really excited about that, and we're creating more as we go. One of the other very exciting things that we have is, last slide, sorry, go back to the last slide. Before, still have one more thing. So it came about from a conversation with a principal, a secondary principal, who was telling me, I have so many newcomers, and we really don't know what to do. We want to really help them, and we want to make sure they're getting a quality education, but there are so many challenges with students that are coming from other countries, and they might have interrupted schooling, they might have been here for a week, and then we have to place them. So we have come up with the International Academy for Newcomer Students in our partnership with CABE. We visited San Francisco, we visited Oakland, we really looked at what other districts were doing for their newcomer students. We have over 200. When I say newcomers, I mean they've been here for a couple weeks. They don't speak English, and they could have 2 to 3 year gaps or even more in their education. So that really poses a challenge for our high schools. So we have created the International Academy, which is a school within a school at Pacific High School. Dr. Raimundo was very progressive in asking for help and saying, what can we do? So we've really done a lot of homework in investing in this program. So that's exciting, and that will be starting in August as well. And out of the, I think what's still kind of harrowing is out of the 200 newcomers, about 40 of them are unaccompanied minors. So we are still getting students who are coming over and having a lot of challenges. So another exciting thing, when we focus on the world language offerings.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, Mr. Tillman?
So you said unaccompanied minor? That means they came to the country by themselves?
Yes.
And they're living by themselves?
Well, usually they'll live with a relative, a friend, anybody along the way. It's not, they call them unaccompanied minors because they're not a set home for them to come to. It just kind of happens in transition, so it's kind of a dangerous, and we're trying to help students out. And we're hoping that at this center, we can also connect them with whatever resources they might need.
Does the county get involved in terms of Children and Family Services?
Yes, they do.
Thank you.
So one of the other exciting things is we're really trying to expand our language offerings. That was the vision with the Multilingual Initiative, is that we graduate our students at least bilingual, if not multilingual. So in the effort to do that, we currently have 2 middle schools that have Spanish language offerings. And I've spoken with principals, we surveyed everybody, and we're in development with another 5, and possibly San Bernardino High School with American Sign Language. The other programs would be Spanish, and then we'd look to open other languages as the need arises, which you'll hear in a little bit about. We also are excited to announce that we're adding a 3rd language to Belvedere Elementary's dual language program. So they have a Spanish-English dual immersion program, and they are the district model, and they'll be adding Vietnamese. You'll hear from the principal in a minute, and she'll tell you how they came to the decision to add Vietnamese. But again, we've made some visits, we've visited other programs, we have a partnership with the Vietnamese Cultural Center, so a lot of homework done there as well, so we're excited about that program too.
Madam President?
Yes, Dr. Flores.
This is really exciting because I think that offering, like foreign language to the kids at middle school is really, really key for those kids that, want to study it as a foreign language. So I think that's marvelous. I think also in our high schools, we should probably be opening up more foreign language classes as well, so that they have the possibilities. I'm just recommending this to our board members because learning a second language based on research, even a second dialect or third dialect, opens up expands the brain, and the brain becomes more flexible, and also person is able to see multiple perspectives, and also their intelligence rises. So it's just not language, it's also dialect in terms of learning many ways of communicating. So I'm glad to see this. And I'm glad to see that I'm anxious to see why you chose Vietnamese, because we have quite a Vietnamese population as well, so it's really, really exciting. So.
And Ms. Pearson is here, so I won't steal her thunder.
Okay,
I'll let
all
her
right.
talk to you about that.
Okay.
But I think another thing that is very valuable about offering the world languages in middle school, if the student passes with a C or better in 8th grade, it is an A through G year counted towards high school. So that's
when I was in middle school, I took German. I took German in my 7th and 8th grade. So I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And then they didn't offer it in high school, so I took Spanish.
And that's what we're trying to look at when we open programs, is we're kind of seeing down the road which other programs would be that we want to open so that students can continue that vertical alignment with whatever language they want to study. So we're excited about the A through G component in that as well.
That's great.
Can you clarify a little bit more on that piece with A through G? Does that mean they don't have to necessarily take an additional class in high school since it'll be already met, or does it just count for 1 year, or how does that?
Yeah, it counts for 1 year of high school world language, and they have to have a minimum of 2 in high school.
Yes.
So if they take 1 in 8th grade and pass with a C or better, they've already fulfilled half that requirement.
Okay.
So it opens up their schedule and allows
more
them to take
electives.
other classes
Okay.
that they need.
All right, that's good to know. Thank you.
So those are some of the things that are happening. I don't have time to really mention everything else because we do have some elementary schools who are doing foreign language experiences. There are many, many things happening that are very exciting. But I think the goal has always been to help increase student achievement, keep kids engaged, excited about language learning. And just some of the highlights is we do have a Pathway to Biliteracy Award, and that's given in 3rd, 5th, and 8th grade. And basically, there's criteria where the kids have to show that they're proficient in 2 languages. And the reason we do that is because we are trying to encourage them to continue and to maintain that proficiency so that by the time they get in high school, they'll qualify for this California State Seal of Biliteracy. And so as we watch them grow, we want to support them and keep them there so that they'll be candidates for our State Seal of Biliteracy. And it's been working because as you can see, from 2013, we had 184 students, the second bullet, that had the California State Seal of Biliteracy. Last year, we had over 400 students, 401 students that received the state of biliteracy, so we doubled that. And that is state criteria that's very rigorous. That's not our criteria or anything like that. So they're very on track for that, so we're pleased about that. And then the last thing, too, I wanted to add, for reclassification, we reclassified 1,462 students last year during the ceremony. Those are the students that received their reclassification certificates. This year, our ceremony will be next in April the 27th, I believe. I don't know if I'm right on that. But we are reclassifying 2,236 students.
Congratulations.
So now for our next steps, we still have a ways to go. Again, that collaboration with other departments, I've been working with Ms. Pam Kempthorne. We really would like to get an interpretation and translation pathway so that when students are doing like their medical pathway, we can add on the biliteracy pathway to that. So now you're being graduated, you know, with that focus in the medical profession, but being certified bilingual. Or in law enforcement, emergency services, all these different pathways are just screaming for people who are bilingual. So
Court reporters.
yes. So Pam and I are working on getting that pathway, and that's also like the carrot at the end of the road for our kids that are in the bilingual programs, for them to stay in and to be successful and continue their proficiency. We want to increase our community partners to identify those that really need bilingual workers, bilingual students, so that we can set up some internships and really have like a pipeline into the business industry. We also are looking at opening another dual immersion middle school. Because now that we have Belvedere adding the 3rd language, we really need a middle school on the east side that would have dual immersion. So we're trying to think ahead and talking with that principal. I haven't announced it yet because the staff hasn't really, we need to involve everybody, but opening another program on the east side of town. I'm very excited to say also that I've been partnering with Mr. Brown and his department, the EDSA department, because we really want to enhance our dual program and enhance the African American students and other students' experience in that program. We want to recruit other students so that we have a more diverse dual immersion program. So he and I are partnering to see how we can bring professional development to our teachers, resources, anything else that we would need to help recruit other students into our program. And I'm sure you're going to hear a little bit about that with our speakers as well. And then we're going to continue to build the collaboration with the departments and sites. Other departments will be involved as the multilingual initiative grows. So it really is a PLC between all of its services and student services. So we're excited to continue that collaboration with all. And then just the last thing, I don't know if you've heard about the California English Learner Roadmap yet. That's the framework that the state has come out for English learners, has come out with for English learners. It's based on 4 general principles, but it has to do with assets-oriented, high-quality programs. And fortunately, we have such a progressive superintendent and board that we're right there. I mean, when that comes in, we're going to be able to say, yeah, we're already doing this, and this fits here, and this fits here. We're not going to have to recreate the wheel. So we're very well poised to meet the requirements of the California English Learner Roadmap. So we're excited.
The State Board of Education approved it last fall?
Yes. Yes, and they're rolling it out, but we can see that a lot of what we're already doing is going to fit very nicely with the plan that the state has for our English learners.
Okay.
That's all I have, and I'll introduce speakers unless you have any questions.
Yes, Mr. Tillman?
And I'm sure there's a good answer for it, but because you mentioned that Belvedere is going to take on this trilingual program, but on this chart you gave, you mentioned that Belvedere was going to take on a trilingual, but on the chart you gave, that's one of the schools that's not performing real well on the English learning progress indicator.
And
Is there a reason for that?
well, actually, Belvedere's dual immersion students are outperforming the district.
Okay.
So those could possibly be English learners in mainstream programs. But their dual immersion is one of the highest scoring programs in our district. So we have to take a deeper dive, but I'm thinking that those are the English learners that are in the other programs that are not the dual program, because their dual program is the highest scoring.
So you don't consider an English learners program a dual program? I mean, isn't a person that's English learner learning a different language? Isn't
Yes.
that dual?
Yes, but what I'm saying is that Belvedere's dual program, their kids are doing quite well. The kids are in the dual program. So that may be the English learners that are in other programs within the same school. So we'd have to really take a look at that.
And do we have numbers for how many students are in the English learners program versus the dual program?
We can get that for you.
Madam President?
Yes.
I was going to recommend that you disaggregate that data, like what Mr. Tillman is asking, because that was my question too, Mr. Tillman, because I saw that discrepancy as well. So it would be important to disaggregate that data by grade level, to see which kids have declined significantly or are not moving, right, or not moving in terms of their English acquisition, and juxtapose it to the dual immersion kids that are learning both languages. Yeah.
All right, Ms. Rogers, you had questions?
Yeah, just a couple of questions. On back to the page 8, when you indicated identification and placement of students, can you explain just a little bit of what that process looks like? How do we identify going in?
Okay, so one of the main areas that we had to take a look at is the way our students were being placed at the secondary level. So English learners were coming in, and they were pretty much in all programs being placed, wherever they fell. So one of the main things was to look to see what their proficiency levels were, and then plan accordingly to see what type of ELD classes they needed to be in. So they just weren't in the general population. They also had ELD support. So that made a huge difference for our secondary students.
And that's what you're currently doing now?
Yes.
you're saying. And then in reference to, we talked about the dual immersion program, again, the issues that have come out from the parents and from the concerns from the communities, are we attacking those head on for the students that are in there and they're English speakers, and then they begin to fail in the various grade levels or whatever is going awry? What are we putting in specifically? I know you talked about we're partnering up with Hanover or their studies. What is the data saying for those that are struggling? When do they come out? What should we do? What kind of assistance should we give them? Because it's unfortunate. I mean, it's great. I'm glad we're back talking about the multilingual initiative. Even 3 years ago, it was good. But then we hear the horror stories, and we hate for those to even happen. When we have a student now in the 12th grade speaking Spanish, but yet struggling, taking A+ classes, when do we catch this before it happens? And what are we doing differently?
Okay, and I can bring you more information on that as well, but we have put some interventions in place for our students that are learning Spanish. We're giving them more resources to help them, and I think one of the principals will be addressing that as well when she comes up to speak. But we've become more cognizant of the fact that they need more support with their Spanish learning, just as an English learner would with English learning.
Because it's not just the student, it's the parent that also has a concern. What can I do? If you're already having an issue helping your student in math or whatever the case may be, and now it's in this foreign language, we should know that long before the student has failed and failed and failed again. So it's great, while it's great that we want to do this, but I'm very cautious about getting to the end of the line, and we've done more damage than we've done good by just adding, more languages. It's great. I don't know how many, we've added now, or what specifically are we going to focus on when we say world language. But I know, yes, we are in books and CABE, and the relationship is saying that we're doing it. But I said the same thing last year before I even knew this information, that it sounds good, but how is it really working for our kids? Because that's detrimental. And I've spoken to the department and to the district that just even a couple of cases of that happening, and knowing that parents don't know what to do, we have to stop and make sure we're doing this properly. Otherwise, they get to the end, and then it's like, okay, go on to the next level of life, and we haven't helped them because we were very aggressive about doing this.
Ms. Rogers, are you talking about kids that are learning English, or kids that are
Kids in the dual immersion
that are in dual
program,
immersion,
exactly,
that
needing assistance.
that are not doing well in English, but and also not
Both.
doing well in Spanish.
Right.
So
In my case, I'm saying they're doing well in Spanish.
they're doing
They've
well in
learned
Spanish, but not doing well in English.
Right. So
Okay.
therefore, it's a cumulative problem now.
But
So-
I think, Doc, I mean, because I know, Ms. Rogers, you talked to me earlier, just to be clear, it could be a student that because of the dual languages is not doing well in math.
Right. Math or English or any,
Right.
all of the subjects.
When it
is
gets to
being
a regular
affected.
class,
Right.
in a high-performing class.
See,
And if
that's the reason I don't like that they average everything. I want to see the range. I want to see which kids are performing and which ones aren't, and like identifying those issues.
Right.
Because when you average, then it doesn't show, they don't show up, and we
But I
don't
want to
know.
be comfortable knowing that
Right.
the district is identifying it
Right.
before we even see it as data. That
Right.
what supports or what's taking place in the classroom, that's being identified.
Any
And then
case studies?
my last question is, I noticed, we are adding and specifically said we're going to add another middle school. But what about high schools? Why are we not adding high schools? I think, Dr. Flores, you may have mentioned something like that.
Right.
But I noticed here that the effort is to add another middle school, which is great. But why are we so behind? And I say that because you often have parents that'll say, well, I don't want my student to go here. I'd rather them go here. And we only have one option.
Well, right now, high schools, all the high schools have a world language component. They're all offering some type of world language. Middle school, we only had 2. And so I think it was like maybe 200 students had access out of 13,000 middle schoolers. But also exactly for the reason you just mentioned. We are now looking at programs and trying to figure out exactly how do we make them the best programs we can be before we start expanding out even more. So we've been having conversations. As you can see, Dr. Fulcher Gutierrez is here. So we've been having quite a few conversations about what kind of supports are we going to provide students and what kind of interventions, other resources. One of the first things we talked about was purchasing Rosetta Stone for all those students that are learning Spanish so they can practice at home, they can practice at school, have additional resources, tutoring. So we're in those discussions, and I think once we start really shoring up programs, then we'll feel more comfortable to expand. But with middle school, it was an issue of access and equity, because the only 2 that had them were Richardson and Chavez. So we really needed to.
But when we
pretty
look
much-
at the dual emergence specifically, isn't that the final feeder school when you're looking at the dual immersion program?
San Bernardino High School, that's correct.
It. So my question would be, how are we looking at that for other, because San Bernardino High School is only so big, and if we're growing
Right,
it,
and she's
they
gonna talk
will
to you
not
about
have the
that.
capacity for every
So-
student that we're looking to do that.
Yes,
Okay,
and
those-
eventually that would be the goal. We want to make it the best we can now, and we'll be looking at that as well.
And we do have 5 additional speakers. Dr. Flores, do you want to
Yes,
say something?
I'll be real quick. I was thinking that whatever middle school you do pick, then what happens is then you move to high school. Those kids who then graduate from there will then, you start with 9th and then 10th, and you build it because you need teachers, because otherwise you can't do it all at once.
Right.
My question, I wanted, this handout that you gave us, the English Learner Progress Indicator 5x5 placement. I wanted to pose a question. I know it's difficult to answer, but the schools in the yellow and orange and red, how many of those schools are the TSSP schools? So
We can bring you that information. We'll get
Right.
that for you.
So that I would be wondering, because then you really need to work with Dr. Monatis, because she's now going to be in charge of those, so that you can work and use those resources as well as the other resources to build the capacity of the teachers, and also work with parents and the kids in moving them towards greater achievement. I was also going to add, lastly, is I was listening to some high school students from other schools at CABE, and they were talking about the SATs and the ACTs and all that, and that they took Latin. They took Latin because if you know Latin, you will be able to figure out all kinds of problems in the SAT and so forth. So I wondered if you would consider bringing back Latin for our AP kids, for other kids. I don't know, you want to respond to that?
The
Isabel?
SAT doesn't do vocabulary out of context anymore.
Oh, they don't?
It's only like in the context of passages, so it's never like define this word.
Right,
It's more
but
like-
but I'm thinking that if you don't know the meaning, you still would have that ability to predict, given that you may know aspects of Latin. So, anyway, okay, that's it.
Thank you. And Ms. Rogers, thank you very much for your insightful comments. Those are the things that we're thinking about as we create and expand programs. We appreciate it.
So Shelby had a brief comment.
I noticed, oh gosh. I noticed on here that the only high school that's in green or blue is Indian Springs, and all of the other high schools are yellow, orange, or red. So I was wondering if you thought there was any particular factor that made it so that the progress for English learners seemed to be more satisfactory at elementary and middle school levels than at high school levels.
Feeder schools, you mean?
No.
I don't understand. So one thing that I can say about Indian Springs, and we mentioned it at the last board meeting, is there's a very focused effort on English learners. They even have their own EL counselor. And we have
Right.
2 to 3 interns here. So this is the school, besides Arroyo, that has the highest EL population. So we have focused a lot of our energies and efforts here at Indian Springs High School. So it seems to be paying off. We'll take a look at the other ones.
And then the other thing I wanted to say is that on slide 11, you mentioned that you were working on introducing ASL at San Bernardino High School. Did I hear you right? Okay. Had you considered any partnerships with Valley? Because I know at Cajon there's an after-school program to learn ASL as a Valley course. Like, it's not a Cajon course, but I have lots of friends who are learning ASL there through that.
Yes, we actually have, and Dr. Fulcher will talk about that,
Oh, okay.
except that there's a scarcity. So we have tapped them, but we're going to see if we're able to get some students.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. So now I'd like to present our speakers, if there aren't any other questions. Our first speaker is the principal of Belvedere Elementary, Ms. Ann Pearson.
I brought along a little something to read from so I don't go off on a tangent. So good evening, President Medina, Vice President Rogers, the board, Dr. Volkemer, and cabinet. My name's Ann Pearson. I'm the principal of Belvedere Elementary School, which is one of the dual immersion magnets for our district. When I first came to the district about 5 years ago, I served on the Multilingual Initiative Committee. I was really fascinated by the idea of our children learning a third language. Mrs. Applegate, Director of English Learners, and I have had several conversations about starting a third language at Belvedere. We are the dual immersion model for the district, so we really felt we needed to lead the charge for the multilingual initiative. With the support and encouragement of Mrs. Applegate and the English Learners Department, we began to explore what a third language would be and what that looked like in terms of minutes as well as topics covered. We wanted a third language that could be practiced in our area and on a daily basis. So the research and also from the R30 showed that Vietnamese was the language spoken the most after Spanish in our district. We next spoke to our parents at our school site council, ELAC, PTO, Coffee with the Principal meetings about the idea of adding a third language. It was received with excitement and support. My staff was also a key part of the discussion, and they even had several more ideas on how to incorporate this not only into our dual immersion classes, but mainstream as well. I was also fortunate to have a teacher transfer to my school last March who also has a BCLAD credential in Vietnamese, Mrs. Nguyen, who is also here tonight. So we had the support from our staff, our parents, the EL department, and a potential teacher. Next, we just needed to make some connections and network with a dual Vietnamese school. We visited DeMille Elementary School in Westminster at the end of January, just a few months ago. Thanks again to our EL department and Ed Services for supporting us in that. The visit was fantastic. It set up a network with other Vietnamese language educators as well as a plethora of resources because some of the stuff they had we didn't even know was offered in Vietnamese. So with the support of the EL department and the leadership of Mrs. Applegate, I'm sure we'll be successful in our endeavor. And I just want to say a couple more words about the teacher we have, Mrs. Nguyen. I've actually known her since 2008. She was one of my teachers in my former district in Adelanto. And when they decided to move down here, then she applied to San Bernardino City Unified and was hired down here. So I've known her for a very long time. She's very excited, and she's a go-getter. So she's exactly, I think, what we need to help the third language along. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we have Dr. Antoinette Fulcher Gutierrez, principal of San Bernardino High School.
Where's your red?
You know, I had all kinds of things prepared, but I heard so many questions that were pertaining to this. So I took some notes. I'd just like to respond to those pretty quickly. As all of you know, because you have had interactions with me, I'm not one that really keeps things hidden. I very much acknowledge the areas of weakness or potential growth that we have. And one of the things regarding the parent concern was actually beneficial in a few ways. Couple ways unfounded, because that student was actually changed to English math classes quite early. So, however, there were some also very valid concerns brought up systemically. So a lot of the conversations that have pursued with Anna have been, how do we change the system to be more effective? So you're right, so we don't get it to the point where you have people that have already been so frustrated that they feel like it was the program the cause of something. Whether or not that was the case, with the fact that when you feel that way, that's going to be the message that's shared. The other question regarding why don't we expand, one of the systems issues, opportunities that we have is that we really do need to be more streamlined and have a strong, solid program before we start spreading it out. And I'll get to that back to my original notes in a moment. And as far as people not wanting to attend certain schools, the whole purpose is that image should be changed. And if we're not doing our job, if I'm not doing my job to make people want to come to San Bernardino High School, that's on me. And so how do we change that image? And how can I make sure that you're confident enough to say, you know what, I stand by that school, and I know that your kid will be successful going there. So I think that's a bigger conversation, because I really do believe that we all should strive for better at all of our schools, instead of going where people want to go and going where people don't want to go. We all need to be responsible for making sure the district in it of itself is high quality. And to respond to the question about progress for ELs, in addition to what Anna had said, I'm going to add additionally, because I have a lot of experience with ELs. The other thing about redesignation is you have fewer and fewer as you go up. So high school, we have students, if they have been in our system, they've been in our system for quite a long time. So we have a smaller number. So it's a lot harder to achieve the same percentages. Also, we have students who have double designations. And then as you saw, with the beginning of the Newcomer Institute, one of the other components is that we have had a huge influx in newcomers who are not redesignated within that short amount of time. So those are a lot of factors. And ASL, yes, we tried to get ASL, and Cajon got ASL, so we are also working on getting ASL. So I wanted to go to my original comments and just share that although we have a lot of work to do, we have a lot of potential for growth, there are some really strong things that we do have in place. With the number of elementary schools that we have already embracing the concepts of dual, we know the research says it's effective for students. We know it. Even students that are struggling with learning, they still have increased connections in their brain when they're finished, because they have the ability to code switch, to think with the left and the right side of their brain, because they're constantly switching. There is so much research, I can't even spend the time on that. So the fact that we have the multilingual initiative really backing that and encouraging that is amazing. In addition to that, we have a lot of resources. Working with CABE, and we just got back from CABE, we have guiding principles for dual language education. We can evaluate ourselves with very research-based concepts and goals that were created by the Center for Applied Linguistics. So this is not things that people just made up. This is very research-based and something we can use as a guiding document, framework, et cetera. Thank you. And also, in going to CABE, we have something that most districts don't. We have a 50-50 model at a high school. That does not happen. I looked it up just on the dual language, let's say the website we were told to register at CABE, and there's all of maybe 3 high schools that have a dual program at a high school level in the southwest region. Okay, 22 schools total say they have it. There were 3 that had a 50-50 model, and those were all in Texas, with that not including us. Other ones had 1 class. I personally worked at Beaumont High School, where they only had 1 course, and Banning High School has 2. So we already have some good start. We have a good start for a potentially top-notch, nationally recognized program if we continue to look and reflect. So some of the next steps is, number 1 is to unify. We do have turnover, and I believe that I wasn't the principal that started the dual program at San Bernardino High School, but I came in, and I'm not unique. We've had, 14 elementary schools? I know they've had turnover since they've established their programs. So everybody's backgrounds and understanding and philosophical belief system on dual is different and ranging. And so the first step really is to make sure that we all have a common understanding. Just as we do with administration, we have to have common language, we have to have common understanding, because we can't collaborate and talk if we're not speaking the same language. So that's really the start, and to unify with the district guidance so that it's district-led, so that that message is consistent and constant. All the schools who have dual programs, so that the guiding, and using these guiding principles. And that will also allow us to vertically articulate, which also helps us, Ms. Rogers, what you had said earlier, with knowing where the kids are coming. So we do have a variety of interpretations of the model. And so with every level and with every transition, we are trying to adjust. There's a wide range. And how do we now say that there's really a succession or an alignment? And that's one of the things that we really want to start with. And also to self-evaluate and improve, because we have to be honest about where we are if we're going to be able to move forward. And of course, that'll accurately streamline our conversations. The second thing is to increase the support for the program. So, and what I mean by that is it's not always money, but that time, that collaboration time, using resources for the training, which we do, to continue to do, but also support, and this is where my first point was going to come in, for the non-Spanish speakers. And that's not just one population in the community, it's all of our non-Spanish speakers that are in the program. Because unfortunately, I don't believe that there's a lot that are retained up through high school. I don't have the number or the breakdown because we haven't delved deeply into that yet. However, that is an area that we need to improve on, as well as the cultural proficiency. Which is acceptance of all cultures, which is a perfect segue on how do we also incorporate the concepts of the ethnic studies, which we already have in place. So we have things in place. We just have to now start integrating the pieces and make it whole instead of having separate components. How do we have them all work together? Also, the expanding the language offerings. I'm sure most of you know that we did have a third language at San Bernardino High School. We had an agreement and a relationship with Cal State San Bernardino, where our students did have an opportunity to take Arabic for over 2 years. And we did have a student 2 years ago that graduated with her, I'll just say it correctly, her bachelor level work in Arabic studies and language. So what she had to do is when she went to college, she did her first 2 years, and then she already had her bachelor's. So we had that. There had been some changes and some policy changes. I'm not sure what they are. I'm not from the inside. That just discontinued that policy. But one of the reasons that we are really encouraged about sign language is, one, there is a shortage. And because we want to say if there is a shortage, we want to fill that need. But the other thing is it also increases our A through G opportunities for some of our more tactile students. So language is amazing, but we also have other ways of expressing ourselves. And personally, my own daughter learned sign before language, and she was in a dual language household. She didn't like language. So just sign is another option for some of our students who might not currently be getting the A through G. And also, to tag on to Ms. Applegate's comments, is to expand our community and post-grad connections. So two-way partnerships. One is if we can work with Cal State and also ensure there's a certification for BCLAD, so that they also feed into our dual, and then also so that we can get our students translation services, certifications, and things like that they can use in the workplace. then we can also increase our students' opportunities to, be hired and stay in this community. I know that was way over 2 minutes, I'm sorry. Are we good? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And then we have our partners from CAVE here, if they want to say a quick comment.
Mr. Tillman, but before you, I just have a quick question regarding, well, at least with the district, why has it stopped with regarding Arabic? Because from what I've heard is that it was a successful program, and there were many students enjoying the class, and we had a great professor helping with that. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we'll get you a report.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then Mr. Tillman.
Yeah, I just think it'd be helpful if, when we have these reports, that it also coincides with some of the other indicators we're looking at, like, A through G and the 9th grade pass rate in terms of D's and F's, and even to some extent graduation rate, and then test scores. Because you would hope there's a direct correlation between being successful here and in those other areas. And if there's something that stands out that there's not, then that's something you want to be aware of too, because you really want to see what the overall impact is to the whole educational process for the student, and make sure that we're not doing things that we think look good in one area, but overall it's not impacting the way we think it should, because maybe we're not providing the right sources, or the programs aren't structured right, or they're not integrated right. But I think if we don't have all the information in front of us, then those type of things don't stand out. So I just think if we have these presentations, it'd be good just to see some of the other standard key indicators. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Gallo, you had another
Yeah,
question.
I was going to ask Harold if this is kind of the format of our key performance indicators dashboard and stuff, isn't it? This is similar type things that we'll be putting on that.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Gallo. What you'll see, hopefully in May, Mr. Gallo and board, is a realignment of our key performance indicators to more closely align with the California dashboard, both with the state indicators and the local indicators. So we'll bring that back to you, but you're one step ahead of the process right now. We'll do that in all areas. What you're seeing tonight are the changes from AMAOs to the ELPI.
Right.
That happened in a number of different areas, college career indicator, et cetera. So we'll bring all of those back to you.
All right, thank you. And then Dr. Flores, you had an additional question?
Oh, I was just going to add that as well, because what Harold just said, and also piggyback on what Danny said. What I asked earlier was, it would be nice to see the parallel, right, of the English language arts achievement scores with our kids' ELPI. And then also not just averages, so that we could see, where our kids are, and so forth, so that we can celebrate, their accomplishments, but also target where we need to go. And that's for all kids. And in this case, it's English language learners, and also the dual immersion, because we are leading in, we are one of the leaders in the states, because we did not fold when 227 passed. We kept going, and so so that would be great for us to have, in terms of that.
Okay, and we have 3 additional speakers.
And we actually have one, the other 2 at spring break, and so
Okay.
didn't
Well,
make
that
it in.
makes it a lot easier.
That's why I was going to give a couple minutes to our partners.
Good evening, President Medina, Vice President Rogers, Board, Dr. Volkamer, and Cabinet. We at the California Association for Bilingual Education salute the board under the leadership of Dr. Marsden and his vision, and the board for its support of the Multilingual Initiative. It's been our pleasure and our privilege over the last 4+ years to be able to be a part of this journey that the district has undergone, and we are very pleased with the progress that has been made to date. That being said, we also know that there's quite a bit more work to do on our Multilingual Initiative, much of which we've already discussed tonight and you've highlighted. We appreciate the support of the board and the allocation of the funds and the resources to be able to accomplish those goals, because we know that the Multilingual Initiative was meant for all students in the district, for them to have opportunities to graduate with more than one language, and be able to be proficient in at least 2. And to be able to provide that is going to require some additional resources such as world languages at the middle school level and expanding what we offer at the high school as well. On behalf of our board of directors and Jan Gustafson Correa, our CEO, we do want to congratulate the board on the work that's been done. And we know that across the state of California, we often cite the San Bernardino Multilingual Initiative as an example of what other districts should be looking to do. We want to celebrate the fact and recognize that, as has previously been stated, San Bernardino is the only program that we know at this point that does keep 3 classes at the middle school level and 3 classes at the high school level for their dual immersion program, which is critically important for the students in that program to be able to reach the results that were promised by the extensive research that has been done on dual immersion programs. So again, we salute you and we thank you very much for your partnership.
Good evening, everyone. I too salute you for your visionary undertaking with the multilingual initiative. I've had the privilege of being the consultant from Claver, working with the initiative from the very beginning 4 years ago, and it's such a pleasure to see where it's come, to this point. And it's exciting to see that we're poised on a solid foundation to move it forward to where it's even richer and stronger as we move forward from here on. I'd like to also extend my appreciation to the partnership that we have with you, because the staff here has been fabulous. They are such hardworking staff, and they're all open to working with us anytime we need to ask to meet with somebody, all the way from the communications office to the community engagement office to personnel. Every single person has opened up their doors and graciously worked with us in true partnership effort to accomplish what we have accomplished to date. And so we'd like to continue building on that base. It's exciting. When I first took on the job of being a consultant, I wasn't going to do anything with my life. I had finished retiring from 2 jobs already in my life. But taking this on has been an amazing, rewarding, and renovating experience for me. I'd like to also let you know that, building on what Chris said, that again, the magnitude of this undertaking is daunting. And in a district as massive as this one, I believe you are the 9th largest in the state of California, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe it's 8.
To have something this significant and have it impact every single student, or designed to impact every single student in your district, all 50-some thousand students in this district, and the people in this district that have to be engaged in the same belief and the same mission and the same commitment. That's where the staff comes in, that's where the partnership comes in, and that's where we move forward from here on. Thank
All
you.
right, well, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
So we will end with a student perspective.
Okay, so my name is Esteban Ramirez. I was part of the dual immersion since kindergarten. I've pretty much stuck through middle school, high school, and I graduated with it, 2nd class.
So now looking back, what were the benefits to being in the program, and how is it, do you feel you got a different experience from the students that were not in the dual immersion program at the high school level?
Benefits, definitely, lots of benefits, because we got, I'm not gonna say that we were preferred, but we did have more opportunities, such as the interpreting courses that were offered to us. Also, mainly just like the everyday life. We had the, how can I say, we had like a family in a way. We had like, we all bonded with each other. We all know each other. So we felt really comfortable, going around the classroom. We had at least 1 or 2 dual immersion students with us. So it's more of a confidence thing, but also it's really big on academics too. Because we had to work twice as hard in Spanish and English. And we had to pretty much understand, it's a perfect word for this, understand how to balance between, our Spanish classes and English classes, which were really rigorous for some of us. And for the others, it was pretty straightforward.
So now that you're graduated in the class of 2015, do you see that benefited you being in the program?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, honestly, if it wasn't because of the program, I don't think I would have the opportunities that I have now.
Now that you're at Cal State San Bernardino, were you able to transfer any units?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I was able to transfer 18 units. And that really influenced me in taking my my Spanish major because I was like, you know what, I'm already ahead of the game. Might as well just go for it. It's something that I like. I learned to really love the Spanish language and dual immersion, especially in Spanish 5 and 6, because that's when we really got to connect with the culture. Not only the writing and all that stuff. That's really the culture, and that really interested me. Así que para todos los niños que están en dual inmersión, quédense en ese programa. Sé que va a estar un poco más difícil que los otros estudiantes, que las otras clases, pero en verdad al final de cuentas sí va a valer la pena porque tienes el doble de oportunidades, el doble de conocimiento y más que nada vales por dos.
And Esteban is currently a student intern working in our department with our long-term English learners, and he wants to be a teacher, so there will be a direct pipeline for Esteban to come back. And I'd like to take the opportunity to thank my team. They're all here, and our CABE partners, as well as all of Ed Services that we've been partnering with. And thank you, Dr. Mitchell, for your vision and support, and the board as well. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much.
Yes. EL team, can you please stand?
Thank you so much. Thank you for the presentation. We have Dr. Hill that has some comments, but I also want to make sure that we do have a public comment as well on this specific item. So right after Margaret, Dr. Hill speaks, I will go ahead and ask him to speak, and then we can have other board members speak on the issue.
Thank you, Madam President. Ms. Applegate, Ms. Richardson, thank you so much. You did a very good job. And it's always good to see that we're going up the ladder in the right direction. One of the questions I had, I noticed Rialto is jumping like 10% each year. So have we managed to sneak over there to see what they're doing?
I knew somebody was going to ask that. And I actually have a call in to Marina Madrid, who's the EL director, to see exactly what it is that they're doing.
Okay, thank you. And I think you answered my second question about this assistance for those who are behind, that you can identify them early to make sure that parents are also aware of what they can do. So I think I got enough of that. I would like to see Ms. Wynn. Could we have Ms. Wynn? I know you stood with the group, but this podium might be, if we could just see who Ms. Wynn. Thank you, and thank you for the good job you're doing. Thank you so much. And my last question might be somewhat unrelated. Where was that bus going? I didn't see any school in our district, so I didn't know if that was just a graphic from something or was going to one of our schools. Or random bus footage.
We had the great communications department help us put that
Okay.
together, so they probably have some footage somewhere.
Good. Well, thank you. Really appreciate your presentation.
And before we have any further board comments, I do want to ask the Mr. Dr. Harold if you could present the person that brought the public comment.
Thank you, Madam President. We did have one public comment. The board welcomes Sam Casey.
Good evening to this distinguished board and to this wonderful cabinet. I come tonight just, it's been a while. I just wanted to come and show my face and let you know I was still alive. I want to start off by celebrating this district. I believe that this is one of the greatest districts within the state of California and specifically within this county. Also want to celebrate you for the centralized resource center that's going to open. I know it took a lot of work, great community collaboration. So I want to celebrate you on that as well. Also, I want to celebrate Dr. Keenan Mitchell and Dr. Marsden and Charles Brown and his entire department for working tirelessly to continue to close the opportunity and achievement gap within this district. But I also want to make sure that we remain vigilant. Because I haven't been able to be at the school board meetings, I'm glad that you're posting them on YouTube because I get a notification every Tuesday night. So after Bible study, I get home and I watch them if I'm not too tired. I gave up Bible study here tonight because I was a little grieved by the last school board meeting because of the great work that we're in, the strides that we're making to continue to move forward. I want to encourage this district and encourage this board and cabinet and even our parents from multiple cultures, and especially our school board members, not to fall prey and victim to the race baiting that's taking place within this district, specifically because of the time and the culture that we're in under the national leadership that we're facing and what's taking place in Orange County, California, just as recently as last night. that we don't fall into those kinds of politics as it relates to making sure that all students, in particular, as I've always stated when I stood before you, if you just take all ethnic groups and we go to Mars and just look down on Earth, specifically the San Bernardino City Unified School District, and just threw the data up on the wall, we all understand who is the most struggling student population within this district. And if we begin to play victim, and not necessarily play victim, but play into the whole idea of who gets the most money and who shouldn't get money and why one other group is getting more money than the next, then we will begin to fall into what's taking place on the national level within our country. I also understand that Board Member Rogers brought up asked for a report around the DNFs, and that's appalling. Just want to know, at some point in time, will there be a report given on what specifically is being done to ensure that the steps are in place that will be shared with the community to ensure what's going to take place to address that? Also, around the EL department, I wasn't going to make a comment on it tonight, but Board Member Rogers, I guess, but addressed it tonight, that I want to ensure that when we're students of color, African-American students in particular who are striving to get in dual immersion programs, that they're getting the support that they need and not being pushed out of those programs. And I agree with Board Member Rogers. There must be early indication when students are not doing well, not just in Spanish, but in any A through G course, so that there's an opportunity for them to get the supports that they need. But we want to ensure that we're not pushing students out of opportunities that are afforded to them in this district. As I stated earlier, this is one of the greatest school districts within this region, and we want to continue to partner with you in ways that bring support for all students. And finally, I understand, because I am one of the fellows for Ed Trust West, one of the Equity 8 fellows, and through our study and our time there in Oakland, California, and Sacramento, I understand there was an equity audit done on the school district, and just wondering, where is the audit? Who knows about the audit? Will that information be made public to the community so that we can hear how we as a district are doing as relates to equity for all student groups? And with that being said, continue with the great work. We're here to support, excited about what's taking place with the TSSP schools, and thank you for your time tonight.
All right, thank you.
I would like to say something.
Yes.
It's so good to see you and to hear you and to, just get your support and also to challenge us to keep working together.
Absolutely.
Because that's what we have to do. We have to work together. And I take your words of wisdom to heart, and I think all of us do, and that we will move forward for our kids and our families, because we are the ones that together will do it. So I thank you so much, Pastor Casey.
But I also, Dr. Flores, thank you for giving our name to a former board member in Stockton.
Yes.
I'll follow with you on that.
I do all over the state.
Is that it?
Yes,
Thank you.
Oh, no, I do have one. I do have one comment.
Yes, sir.
Good to see you, Reverend Casey.
Yes, sir. Good to
Haven't
see
seen you
you,
in a
sir.
long time. I did want to let you know that in the board report, in the second board meeting of each month, we have what's called the top 10 and the follow-ups.
Yes.
The board took the DNF report and built a section called ongoing initiatives.
Gotcha.
So they will get a quarterly report on our after the first quarter, after the second quarter, after the third quarter when grades come out. So that'll be an ongoing initiative that we'll continue to report to the board on. I just wanted you to know that
Absolutely.
is very much alive and well and continues to be an area of focus for the district.
And you can count on me being back at the school board meetings at least once a month.
Yes.
All right.
And the Ed Trust West report, we were given that report, Dr. Mitchell, 2 board meetings ago? And so probably, you can probably give it, send it to him or have it available. Is it online? Is it on our
Yes,
website?
we gave a report to the board regarding that report. Be happy to send it to you, Reverend.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Also, I know there's an initiative that's being supported by Assemblymember Shirley Weber right now that's looking to add an additional item to LCFF. I'll be in Sacramento this Friday, meeting with them. I'll bring that information back, and hopefully this district, as well as the cabinet, if led to do so, can put a letter of support together. And I'll send that information to you ahead of time, the specific bill. I think it's 8625. Assembly Bill 8625. I'll check before the night is over.
What is it on?
It's adding I think it's lowest achieving subgroup as one of the identified factors within LCFF. So adding additional one so that specific resources are going towards that specific population. And they felt it was necessary not only for African American students, but two other subgroups that we're not paying attention to. That's Native American and Asian Pacific Islanders. So I think it's important that this district take lead on that, given our population.
And also our males.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Pastor Casey. Thank you. Okay, so then any other board members regarding that hasn't spoken yet that would like to speak on the presentation that was presented earlier?
I just want to thank you. I just want to thank all of you for all your effort. It's a like Pastor Casey said, it's a daunting effort. And we just got it, and you have a great leader, and support you. We all support you, and just keep going, just doing the great work that you do. And I love you because some of you were my students, and I just am so proud of all of you. I look back and I go, gosh, these guys were learning to be bilingual teachers, and I don't know if you remember, but 20 years ago, 15 years ago, and look at you where you are now. I'm very proud of you, of your efforts and your growth.
Okay, and Dr. Wyatt, you had a comment?
Yes, Madam President, thank you. And just to kind of piggyback on Dr. Hill, I'd like to note that our improvement and our performance was better than 4 of those 5 districts. So I'd like to look at that as well, because we do comparisons against Santa Ana and Long Beach all the time, and Fontana. So excellent job there. I'm a father of 2 students that went through a dual immersion program. I'd like to say I'm very proud of that, and how they've come out being, I don't like to say bilingual, biliterate. And I'd like to see our district hopefully move forward someday to where every student in our district is learning a second language or a third language. If we're really going to pursue multilingual education, then our students should all be learning second and third languages. I just had one of my employees, one of our school nurses, returned today from Greece. And I said, well, how was your trip and how were you able to navigate through the country? And she said, well, over there, everybody speaks about 4 or 5 languages. And one of the main languages, obviously, is English. And so that just prompted a conversation between the 2 of us today. And I think how timely was that to have our presentation tonight, and just to emphasize how important it is for our students to learn languages, not just 2, but maybe 3 or 4. ASL, of course, I love that. And we're talking a little bit on a sidebar here, how that's an amazing language as well. I'm very fortunate to work with the deaf and hard of hearing population. So I'd like to see that program grow too, but I think as a board, we really need to move and look forward towards this multilingual initiative and how we could take it to capacity with all students in all schools at all grade levels. And I just want to thank you and your team again for a great presentation.
Thank you, Dr. Wyatt and Mr. Gallo.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, good presentation. Thanks, you guys. I got a question on the capacity for transitioning to high school dual immersion programs. You said you had 3 classes, I think, at 2 schools. Are we at capacity? We have waiting lists. There are people waiting to get in. For instance, some of you guys know I founded the Norton Space and Aeronautics Academy that we actually changed to Language Academy when we did kind of an assessment 10 years ago when we started it. Dual immersion came out a clear winner to actually incorporate that dual immersion program in it. And I know that as the students start embarking on a high school experience, there's not a lot of choices that they have in San Bernardino City Unified. It's one way to get those students back. And I just wondered, are we looking to expand the class?
Yes,
Are we
so
meeting capacity?
What we're looking at, and Dr. Fulcher and I were talking about it, currently the dual immersion classes are impacting the other Spanish classes for the rest of the students, because the students have to have 3 classes in Spanish. So those Spanish teachers are teaching some of those dual immersion Spanish classes, and there's a greater need. There's other students in the school that are not part of the dual immersion program that want to take Spanish. So an easy fix there would be to hire some more Spanish language teachers for the rest of the kids at San Bernardino High School. So we're not turning anybody away just yet, but the capacity is growing. we do need probably an additional couple of Spanish teachers to alleviate the impact that dual is having on the
And
Spanish.
you would do that at San Bernardino High School, I take it? right?
Yes, so we're in discussions with that.
Okay.
Okay,
All
thank
right,
you.
thank you so much for your presentation. I think that's it for tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dr.
Yeah.
Dr. Mitchell, do you want to?
Yeah, if I can just make some concluding comments. So Board, thank you for your time tonight. I want to commend Anna and her team in leading this important work. The intersection between race, class, language, and instruction is a complex matter, and I think that Anna is leading the state in this issue, and so we're really proud of her work. I also want to thank Barbara Richardson and her team for providing interpretive data. So she helps us keep focused. She helps us keep what is the main thing that we should be focusing on, and not just giving us data, but explaining the whys behind the data. So we want to thank their teams and thank you for the presentation tonight. So thank you, ladies, and thank you, team.
Don't leave just yet. So keep giving you kudos. I just want to make sure that while it's fresh in our minds, that we understand where the board's asked us to follow up. And so, board, this is what I have in terms of follow-up, that you'd like the ELPI data by grade and by school, that you'd like the academic indicators as well, meaning English, language arts, and math for CASP. Recognize that that will be data from the 16-17 school year. We're just heading into testing season and won't have our 17-18 CASP results until probably August or September, but we're happy to get that to you. You've asked us to disaggregate the data for Belvedere by program, and we'll get that back to you. You've also asked us to identify where the TSSP schools fall on our 5x5 chart, on the color chart. So we'll get that back to you. What happened to the Arabic program? We'll get that information back to you. And you also made a more general comment about the integration of all the indicators. How does the ELPI data integrate with CASP data? How does that indicate with the college, or integrate with the college and career indicators? So that's a mountain of data, as you know. We'll do our best to do that in an integrated fashion to some degree, while giving you the individual KPIs themselves as we move forward. So did we miss anything in terms of follow-up?
I do want to, because I was going to ask for this later, but I do want to incorporate or add regarding the amount of students or the type of students that are in these dual immersion programs. For instance, those that are native English speakers as well as EL students. What are the percentages and what does it look like in the dual immersion classes?
Okay.
And the ethnic breakdown?
The ethnicity breakdown, that's what I meant.
Did you ask for the number of students in the class?
The amount of students in the program, and if there's also a waiting list. Because
Yeah,
if there's a waiting list, that means there's a demand for the
I
program.
like to see what the class size,
Look like, okay, that makes sense too.
Oh, not just percentages, Dr. Flores?
No.
Do you want averages?
Not just averages. All right, thank you so much.
We will make sure we get that to you. Board, our English learner population, like all of our, what we used to call subgroups, now we call them student groups, is a significant part of our district, and we have to be successful with every population of students that we have if we're going to be successful as a school district. We're making great strides in some key areas. It was a longer presentation. We had lots of dialogue and discussion, but there were some key things. Reclassification rates are up. LTELs, we're doing some great work with our LTELs. The ELPI data is good as a district, and so we want to be encouraged by that. And I'm really encouraged by the vision that this paints for a future. We talk about all kids being college and career ready by the time they graduate, but imagine all kids being college and career ready, speaking 2 or 3 languages as well. They will be able to compete on any stage in the world, and that's very exciting to me. So I also want to thank Dr. Mitchell and Mrs. Applegate, Mrs. Richardson. I see Mr. Ojeda out there, and Melanie McGrath is out there, some of the other leaders of the EL department. Thank you so much for the great work you do every day for our kids.
Okay, so then we're going to go ahead and move along to 4.0, board member comments. Kristen, do we have any of the students? I see Isabel.
Danielle's at
Shelby.
UCLA. She
So,
said
okay,
beside
so then if you could please, go ahead.
All right. First thing that I wanted to say was my support for the resolutions passed in section 2.5 and 2.6, and also that I'm really impressed with all of the programs that are being put in place for language learning here in San Bernardino. I myself am in my, what year is it? My 6th year of Spanish. But I definitely think that a dual immersion program I know the research says that that's far more effective, and I think based on my experiences that would probably be more effective way of getting people to be able to speak colloquially in whatever language it is that they're learning. And I think it's really admirable that we're putting resources towards doing that. And the last thing that I wanted to say is that I took the liberty of creating an Instagram page for the student representatives on the school board for this district, so that the student representatives could have a more streamlined method of communicating with our peers. The handle is SB Student Reps, if anyone wants to look at that. There's nothing there yet, but it's going to be previews and reviews of board meetings and whatever else I can think of, and I'm gonna be getting my colleagues involved, and I'll be giving that to whoever gets chosen next year. So I just wanted to make that known. That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. Let's go ahead and go to 5.0, public comments. Dr. Volkmer?
Thank you, Madam President. The board welcomes first on the topic of anti-bullying booklet, Ronald and Paula Plunk.
Good evening. The motto of the school district is Make Hope Happen. When my husband and I read the report of Miss Tricka's behavior in the San Bernardino Sun and then viewed your recorded meeting as her victims stood here March 20th, 2018 to tell their harrowing tales of Miss Tricka's alleged predatory behavior and alleged criminal activity, we did not see hope in their eyes. If you believe in your motto, truly believe in your motto, and are willing to defend it, then it is your obligation to these students, families, and faculty of Newmark Elementary School to exorcise this cancer from this community. Victims, we use victims intentionally to describe those who bravely shared their experiences here on March 20th, 2018. Ms. Tricka's brazen and unchecked behavior toward her students and faculty is emotional terror, and the faculty can only escape by leaving the children behind that they care for and feel responsible for to face Ms. Tricka alone. Children who struggle to speak the language and therefore cannot communicate effectively. Children who struggle to manage their emotions and struggle to process the world around them. Children that need a gentle and patient hand are told they are a liability to Ms. Tricka's metrics. They are told they are a problem, and in one case, the child was allegedly assaulted by Ms. Tricka because Ms. Tricka cannot use her words like the adult in the room should be able to. Anyone who she cannot bully, she isolates, or has been driven away, traumatized from this school. Now, we must address the leadership of this community. You have harbored this woman for years, and if you've had knowledge or not, you have colluded with her to continue this pattern of disrespect, hostility, and alleged criminal behavior. It is on record that you have been receiving complaints about Ms. Tricka and have not put the safety and well-being of these students and faculty before this administrator. You defend her, you do not defend her, you have enabled her. For years, you have either been unable to help the students and faculty at Newmark Elementary School because you honestly did not know about her behavior, or you have been unwilling to do anything to help despite your knowledge and have chose to cover it up. We cannot decide what is more frightening for these children. You updated your anti-bully booklet on January 14, 2018 that states that the safety and well-being of this community's students and faculty is your priority. However, when you failed to begin an investigation of Ms. Tricka's after the January 16th meeting, you made it clear that the safety and well-being of these students and faculty is, in fact, not a priority. Your lack of oversight is alarming. In your own mission statement, although it is the last sentence, and it should be the first, where it states, a safe, respected, and welcoming environment. We wondered what happened to Newmark Elementary School. These are all the qualities that all students must rely on to thrive in a learning environment. We ask this board to adopt the community of character going forward. These traits: integrity, responsibility, accountability, self-discipline, respect, honesty, compassion, and for this community, hope. My husband and I have the privilege to vote combined 84 years. We take our vote very seriously, and that our presence here tonight makes it clear we take your position of power very seriously. We voted for the incumbents during the last 2 elections because we believed all when you stated you understood the needs and the diverse and the challenges of our children that face every day in San Bernardino. Running on a platform of caring for all the children of the city, knowing all along that this woman was waging war on the students and faculty of Newmark Elementary School. Despicable and dishonest. After reading and viewing online testimonies from San Bernardino Sun's comments to Zillow's website, it is clear we have faltered in our judgment voting for all of you. There is a powerful wave of nonpartisan, fresh energy sweeping this country, and they, like my husband and I, believe truth is clarity. These young people are not scared anymore of the older generation with or without doctorates or vaunted years of experience. They are willing to protect the students, families, and faculty in their community. As voters, we have a right to vote you in, but more importantly, we have a right to begin recall petitions. Good night.
Was there a second speaker? We had a blue slip.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Next, the board welcomes Terry Boykin and LaQuetta Bush Simmons on Project Fighting Chance.
Good evening, board. My name is Terry Boykins with Project Fighting Chance, first vice president, and also I'm accompanied with our board chair, Ms. Quetta.
Could you put it closer?
Can you hear me okay now?
That's better.
Is that better?
There.
Okay, great. Once again, my name is Terry Boykins, first vice with the Project Fighting Chance, and LaQuetta Bush Simmons is our chair, and we are coming to you. Greetings, President Medina, Dr. Harrell, as well as other distinguished board members, to talk about something that we at Project Fighting Chance have become very proud of, as we have had athletes from San Bernardino compete from this city on a national level in the sport of boxing. And one of the things that we know that if you're going to be a champion, you have to be in attendance at the championship fight. March Madness is about attendance. The Olympic Games is about attendance. The NBA is about attendance. And one of the things we know that if our young people are to win, they have to be in attendance. Schools lose millions of dollars a year because schools do not have kids that are in attendance. Project Fighting Chance understands the dynamics of being at the championship arena. Just recently, many of you may know, named Terrible Terry, Golden Valley, has just become the national champion in boxing. We have 2 others that have received their championship title in the Junior Olympics, right here from San Bernardino. And there's something that we have created in a culture at the Project Fighting Chance and the Fights boxing gym that deals with showing up if you're going to be a champion. And what we have, and I'll have Ms. Simmons pass out to you, we have a vision of what could occur if this same philosophy is implemented with San Bernardino City Unified School District with regards to attendance recovery. And we understand that the millions and millions of dollars that are lost each year as a result of youth not coming to school, students not coming to school. This is one of the emphasis that we place on our young people, in particular our athletes. And as having the opportunity to be a community partner in the CAPS program, young people are coming to our gym for tutoring, for our chess program, for our guitar lessons, as well as for our mentoring. And they're coming because there is a culture of winning, and there's a culture of being a champion. And they understand that in order to be there and have an opportunity, they have to attend. And this attendance is something we are very, very intent on helping to meet the needs of families and communities in this respective area, particularly as it relates to San Bernardino. With a Saturday school and an athletic program, and people understand that the appeal of athletics and having champions in your community, when you look at the basketball, the March Madness, the number of individuals that attend is absolutely phenomenal. And we know there's a correlation between athleticism and education and good coaching and good support and a streamlined program that will ensure that young people are in school, but more importantly, that districts do not lose millions of dollars because of programs that may not be appealing for them to want to come to school. So the question becomes, how do you create an environment for young people to want to come to school, particularly those that need to have a hook? And what we have done, and this will not be an opportunity for us to cover the details, this information is provided to you and complete, but we do believe that the opportunity to sit down and discuss a little bit more about our strategies, our vision, what we are looking to do to be an effective community partner in this effort to recoup the millions of dollars that are lost by districts because young people do not come to school. And so I would like to have the opportunity at some point to have a formal sit down where we can spend more time of providing the vision of this particular effort of using sports, education, attendance, family engagement, and scholarly conduct to help recoup millions of dollars that are lost from attendance. This is a problem. This is a problem. If this were a shareholders meeting and we were losing this kind of money, we would go bankrupt without a question. And so the question is, what exactly do we do to fix this problem? And I believe that some of the things we've done and what we've implemented with regards to Project Fighting Chance, what we're looking at doing with regards to our athletes and the students that are from your schools that are coming to our gym, and why they want to come there after school and why they're excited about coming there after school has to do with the formula of creating an environment of wanting to have them attend something that works. And so, Board, Madam President, if there does become an opportunity for us to sit down and formally go through this information with you, we would like the opportunity to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Boykins. We will have someone from staff reach out to you, and we've got your number right here. So thank you. Next, the board calls Mr. Ray Culberson.
First of all, I want to thank the board, but this is the longest board meeting that I have ever stayed at. People notice this.
I'm sorry, sir, could you state your name again?
My name is Ray Culberson, so just for the record, I stayed a long time. But one of the things I wanted to do is just come here and, after 20 years of hard-pressed grind at youth services, doing as much as possible in the community, I could not have done all of that without the board members' support. And so I wanted to come in and just thank each and every board member for always being there, always being progressive, always having a vision for the future and the like. And I wanted to make sure that I personally came out and said that. as I move forward in the, in terms of, the next steps that I have to go to, I'm going to be in the community. But one thing that was really interesting was when I was watching the presentation here, 20 years ago, I was in my office having to leave my office to go to a school site because a Spanish-speaking person couldn't get enrolled in school because of the fact that they couldn't speak that language. And so we had to go and create the improvised ways. So all the way we used was a concept called reality-based education, and to make youth services the place that it was. But I just wanted to basically come in here and just say thank you guys, and the progress that we made, and the strides that we made, and nothing major. All the people, Dr. Mitchell, what's your name again? No, Dr. Wiseman, Dr. Manadev, Janie, all you guys, I just want to thank you guys very much. Dr. Volkemer, always, in your office talking strategies and those kinds of things. And I just want to thank the board for always supporting, the notions, because we made some great strides. And you'll hear, a lot about them. And I'll be talking about another subject down the line called microaggression, and that's going to be as controversial as when I did Kids in Chaos. You guys remember that? When I was attacked by everybody in the whole history. Now it's social emotional learning. So I just wanted to make that point. But thank you guys very much. That's all I had to say, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Madam
very
President?
Yes.
I just want to thank you publicly for all your service. You're from this community. You knew our kids, you know our kids, you know our families, and I always appreciate your candidness, your willingness to serve and protect and to deal with, our families in crises. And not everyone can do that. And just want to share with everybody, greatly appreciate that. And I'm glad that you're staying in our community and moving on to the next.
Thank you very much, Dr. Flores.
Dr. White, were you going to say something?
Oh, absolutely. Ray, first of all, I apologize I wasn't able to be there for the management meeting where I know that you were recognized, but I want to make sure I do it publicly. First of all, as a colleague, I want to thank you for everything that you do for our children, not just in this district, but the kids that come over to us, to the County Office of Ed. You always have their best interests in mind, and you're a champion for our students in our community. I want you to know that in my heart and many other folks' hearts as well. That will never be forgotten, first of all, what you've done for our kids. As a board member, same thing. You've created model programs with your staff here for San Bernardino City Unified School District that brought great recognition to our district as well. Things that we emulate in other districts because you guys set the bar. You've been a model SARB under your leadership many times. Now that we're doing that as a county education program, we just started our SARB this year as our first year. And of course, we have Dr. Michael Richards, who was under your tutelage, right, who is our coordinator for that and leading the way to make sure we do what we're supposed to do. So as a board member, you've brought a lot of great recognition to our district, so thank you for that. Most importantly, though, and this one gets me a little emotional, but thank you as a parent. Yeah, for what you've done for my kids, specifically my son.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, to me, that's everything. So,
thanks, bro.
We'll get together soon. We're gonna have a good dinner on me, you and the wives, and have a good time, but thank you for everything you've done for us.
Thank you, Dr. White. Ms. Rogers? Ditto, and apologies for not being able to make it, but we appreciate everything you've done. We know this is not the end. It's the beginning of something different. You left me with an assignment. I want to let you know I'm still going to get to that student. I have not forgotten, but I appreciate everything that you have done, and we just wish you well in whatever adventures that you will run into. I'm sure you will do great in doing them, and I'll just make sure that Dr. White invite me to dinner so that I will keep him from breaking down. It'll be a good dinner. Thank you.
Thank you.
As long as you split the bill, Ms. Rogers, that's fine. That'll make it a little bit easier because I got 2 nice restaurants for him. So, and trust me, they're not cheap.
Well, I do want to mention also, Ray, in regards when I started as a parent, and you were there to help guide. And I think now that I'm a school board member and we had our campaign, there was one that was working on our campaign, and she's like, "Oh yeah, Ray helped me. If it wasn't for him, I mean, if it wasn't for you, she would have. She doesn't even know where she would have been." And so there's many students that can say the same thing, that if it wasn't for your leadership and your department, they don't know where they would be at right now. So thank you so much for all that you do.
All right. Thank you, board. Appreciate it. And I'll see you around the way.
Thanks, Ray. Next, the board welcomes a group of 6 people on the subject of Love Fest 2018. We have Wendy Whitmore, Portia George, Monica Stockhausen, I believe, Leslie Westbrook, Jalen Burrell, and Jasmine Harrell. And you would organize yourselves as you see fit, and you'll have 30 minutes total.
Good evening, good evening. Good evening to the president of the board, Ms. Medina, to Vice President Rogers, and all the fellow board members. My name is Wendy Whitmore, and I am the owner of Truth Healing and Evolution Counseling Services here in the Inland Empire. We recently conducted an event called the Love Fest, and I would love to be able to hand you out just a brief overview of what that event was, so that as I'm talking about it, you can see what it is that took place.
Where did you hold it?
At San Bernardino Valley College. And also, I had a video to show, but I wasn't able to get it here in time. So I'm asking if I would be able to submit that so that it could be put on record, if possible. So the Love Fest took place on January 20th, and it was a collaborative community event. As you can see, the sponsors that helped to put this on are in the front of the booklet. And so one of the things that was really important about the Love Fest is that I am a clinician by trade, and I know that a lot of times people are not gonna show up to lay on my couch or sit in a chair at my office. And so specifically youth of color who are struggling and facing a lot of issues, they don't come to therapy because they think they're crazy, or because only crazy people go to therapy, or because they think it's inaccessible. And so I'm a woman of faith, and so God gave me this vision about 3 years ago to put on an event for the community and for the youth and for the parents that would bring clinicians face to face with our youth. So on the 20th of January, that is what I did. We had about 68 students registered, 46 attended, 70% of those showed up, and 46 attendees. It was 37 high school students, 5 junior high students, and we had 4 college students. And thanks to Dr. Monarez, 30 students from Arroyo Valley were able to be transported there for this event. This event I'm emotional because you know how you have a baby and you finally see that baby come to fruition? It was more than I could ever have imagined. We had workshops. One of the workshops was Hopeless and Helpless. It was co-ed, and it was divided up between middle schoolers and high schoolers. And as you can see, we talked about hopeless and helpless versus suicidal ideation. Because a lot of times, you know, as a clinician, I know the difference, right? But a lot of times staff and parents, a lot of people don't know the difference. Sometimes when a child says, I just don't want to be here, you know, they want to call the pet team, and it's like, wait, hold on. Maybe they're dealing with something and it's hopeless and helpless. And so we worked on defining that. We also talked about coping skills to alleviate and relieve some of those symptoms. The second workshop we did was young, vocal, and vulnerable. And we divided the attendees, high school boys, junior high boys, high school girls, and junior high girls. And we talked about the difference between being assertive and aggressive. Because I have teenage children, I'm a mom, and I have 3 teenagers. And sometimes I have to let them know that they're trying to be assertive and get their point across, but they're coming across as being aggressive. And so being able to help children, especially our youth, define that, because I tell them when you're in a classroom with a teacher and it's 30 of you and you're running off at the mouth and you have a very valid point that you're trying to make, you have to be assertive and not aggressive. And so that was what the other workshop was focused on. We also had parent workshops, and they were focused on the same topics. They were just geared towards the parents being more supportive. We also had youth performances. We had a youth DJ because, again, when you want to get the youth involved, you have to speak their language. And me being a mom of teens, I understand that you got to speak their language. One of the other things that I wanted to point out was the goals. So ultimately, we desire to inspire the attendees to live and not just exist. And for me as a clinician, that is a major thing. When my clients come in, I ask them, are you looking to exist or do you want to live? Because there's a huge difference, right? And whatever it is that you do, you need to make sure that you find joy in it. Another goal was to bring awareness to mental health, because a lot of people just think they're crazy, or a lot of people just think nobody understands what I'm going through. Making sure that the dialogue about mental health is staying in the forefront of education. It's really difficult to come to school and deal with, algebra and mom is suffering from a chronic illness, right? Like, that's really difficult. It's difficult to have experienced trauma and to have gone through traumas, and now the teacher is asking you, where's your essay? And the kid is sitting there thinking, man, I could care less about an essay. You have no idea what I went through. But again, a teacher doesn't know that because there's 30 kids in the class and there's one teacher. And so I wanted the kids to be able to also advocate for themselves as well as their peers and say, hey, it looks like you're going through something. Don't be ashamed to go reach out. And so also, because I am a clinician and I feel like it's one of the greatest things, it's one of the greatest careers that you could choose, exposing counseling as a possible career choice, because a lot of kids don't know that this is a viable career, and it's also something that brings you great joy. It's interesting because, when you want to do something for your community, there's all kind of different obstacles. And so, of course, finance is always an obstacle. And so one of the main reasons that I wanted to come present tonight was because I would love to sit down with someone in the board and discuss possibly partnering for 2019, because I believe that this is an event that needs to continue. This is an avenue that also advocates for our youth and then teaches our youth to advocate for themselves. So, thank you.
Hello, my name is Portia George, and good evening, Madam President and all of the board members. I'm one of the clinicians that volunteered my time for the Love Fest on January 20th. And for me, it was really important for me to come there to educate, because a lot of times in the school, we deal with the problem when it happens, when a crisis comes up. They go to the office, maybe they talk to the school counselor and stuff. But if you can start to deal with the problem before, and just education is really important, right? If we're understanding what the children are maybe going through, or if the children is able to communicate maybe their issues or concerns, or they feel like they are able to advocate, for themselves and know which resources they can go or what avenues they can go to, maybe understand for the parents. So for me, it was really important to attend the Love Fest and volunteer my time, because a lot of times our parents are like, no, I'm not going to send you to therapy. You don't need it. You just need to go to church, or maybe we'll talk to the teacher, and we're really not understanding, because at that level, maybe the parents not understanding what's going on with the kid, why they're acting out, why all of a sudden their grades started changing, and it might be an avenue of something that a therapist can do. So that was why I volunteered, able to get back to the kid and understand and advocate for themselves. So I know Vice President Ms. Rogers came out, and so she was able to see how we were able to present it. And overall, we had really good responses for the Love Fest.
All right, thank you.
So I'm Jalen Burrell, Wendy Whitmore's son, class of 2020 freshman. I normally have to help out, but this time I got to be an attendee. So I got to attend it, see it from a different perspective. It actually felt good. I got to get help, see people get help, instead of, just recording video, handing out note cards. I got to see people cry, laugh, have fun, do what they love. So that's about it.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Good part.
Hi, my name is Jasmine, and I had the privilege of attending Love Fest 2018. And I think one of the most amazing things was just the visual representation of the clinicians that were there and available to our disposal, which is something you don't really see at school, because you hear of oh, there's a school counselor, oh, I need an appointment to go see them. But there was just a panel, a large panel of 20 or something clinicians that were there and just saying here, take my card, take my number, I'm here at your disposal, I'm here to help you, I'm here to they were just there for us. So that was really beautiful, and yeah.
Thank you, thank you.
Hello, hello. My name is Professor Monica Stockhausen. I teach business at Chaffey College. And I brought my youth, no, I don't have any kids, my nieces and nephew, to the event. And I was wondering how in the world were they gonna make mental health exciting for Generational Z teens? So, and informative at the same time. So I was going in there with an open heart and an open mind. And the first thing that I saw, or my baby saw when they came in there, was one, there were students there from their neighborhood, which was super important. The second thing, there were students from their school there, and there were admin that they had good relationships with that was there. So instantly, there was this sense of community already. And I know my babies, they suffer from a lot of trauma. And they don't really know how to regulate their emotions and process all these adult things that we do. And so I was looking for it to be both engaging and informative at the same time. And so informative when she gave tools on how to be assertive and not aggressive, and social emotional development and a strong sense of self-awareness, those things were really important to me as an aunt. And seeing my babies grow up in San Bernardino, those are tools that I feel like they needed. And then also the musicians that you had there, oh my gosh. I mean, it really set the tone that they could be comfortable and talk about their feelings, and they can actually translate their feelings into music. And I know that seems very common, but for our Generation Z, it's not. And they're learning how to do that and be creative. So I need this event to continue because my babies did not feel alone or isolated anymore going to an event that gave so much community. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, board. My name is Leslie Westbrook. I was also one of the clinicians at the event, and it's really important. My husband and myself and another clinician, they did the parenting portion of it. And our goal was to help the parents recognize, what does depression look like in our kids? What does suicidal ideation look like in our children? What does trauma look like in our children? When a child's being bullied, what does that look like? And we wanted to expose that because it's really important, because some parents, they think their child is just moody. Because if you deal with teenagers, they're moody, right? Mm-hmm. So they were thinking, oh, they're just moody, and they're starting to find out, no, they were depressed. They were considering suicide. They were being bullied at school. There was a traumatic experience that happened, and they're just pressing it down, because sometimes the parents are so busy working and out there doing things, out in the community or out, at their jobs, that they don't have the opportunity to speak to their child. So we talk to the parents about being open to your children, allowing them to come and speak to you. And if you're not ready to speak with them, just say, I'll talk to you in an hour, or we can talk at 5:15, or we can talk at 6 p.m. Give them an actual time where you can sit and speak with them and be open with them and not judge them. So that was a privilege and an honor to do that. And I think it's really important that we continue this event next year and get more people in there to expose mental health. One of the things that we deal with a lot, especially in the African-American community, is what goes on in the house stays in the house. And that just keeps the trauma quiet and allows perpetrators to continue to abuse. And then it teaches them how not to express themselves. It teaches them how to hold their feelings down. It teaches them not to be emotional, not to express themselves emotionally. That's what we're teaching our children to do. And then they become that type of emotionless adult. And then they continue to teach their children that and continue to teach their children that. So like the lady before me was mentioning, it's important that we expose this and we let people know it's okay. It's okay that you went through depression. It's okay that you're having some challenges with identity. It's okay that you're feeling stressed out, because children get stressed out too. We think it's adults, but think about when you were a teenager, how stressed out were you in high school? How stressed out were you in junior high school? Trying to find yourself, because teenagers, when they're teenagers, they're still trying to find themselves. They're kind of coming into their identity, who they are and who they're supposed to be as adults. And we have to understand that as adults. Sometimes as adults, we forget that we were teenagers. It seemed like that was a past experience, like, oh my God, why are they acting this way? Well, how did you behave when you were 16? When you liked that boy, you liked that girl, and she didn't like you back, or he didn't like you back, and how did you behave, and things like that. And we forget that we were teenagers at one time. And so the teenagers don't get addressed, and they feel like they don't have a voice. Here at that event, they had a voice. They were able to speak. They were able to express themselves. They were able to cry and be vulnerable. And that's one thing we want them to know. You can be vulnerable in the right atmosphere. You can be vulnerable. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And those are all of our public comments this evening.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
I just want to thank you guys as well. Yes, as you mentioned, I did get an opportunity to come in, and this is definitely something that I would love to support because, you know, the mental health piece, we're talking about it so much, but I'm a real advocate of the experts doing the expert work. And what I applaud you guys is what you did. I think that really made a difference for the students is that you were transparent with your own issues that had even brought you to the career of working in the career that you're in right now. And for me, this is something I deal with daily when we're talking about mental health. And a lot of it's becoming so cliche to say it, but it's all of the things that you described, and we have to let the people that know how to reach the kids in those areas participate in doing that, because if we don't get that right, then everything else, like we said before, it's hard. It's getting harder and harder for our students to adjust to learning and deal with these environmental issues that they're dealing with. So I applaud you. I appreciate you all. I'm sure you'll be in contact with the specific people to see how we can support what is done and get more students. I was happy to see Arroyo Valley students there. I even saw staff there and asked them what their take was, because again, we want everybody to weigh in and have an understanding that you're not trying to come in and tell the teachers how to teach. This again is supporting what is happening to our students. So I appreciate you all, appreciate your comments, and good work. Good work.
All right,
Thank you, guys.
so
You have a
much.
good
We have
evening.
another comment, Dr. Flores.
Wendy, I wanted to address all of you. Thank you for coming and sharing. This is wonderful. It's amazing when you organize something and everybody comes, right? And these are issues that most kids don't want to address. And to see people from their community that are there to help them, and so that they see that they're there, is really important. And I taught high school kids, and they had so many issues, and they still do, and they just need to know that there are people there for them that are experts. You all are experts, and that's what's wonderful. And I'm assuming that you're asking for our support to co-sponsor. Is that correct? Yeah.
Absolutely,
Well,
absolutely.
I'm only one person, but I would be willing to vote in favor of that because our kids need you. We all cannot do it. And they need to know about you, and they need to know that they're loved.
Mhm.
And I love your theme, Love
Mhm.
Fest.
Right.
And so it's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
For doing all that you do, all of you.
And even though I didn't get a shirt, I said that because I didn't get a shirt.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you guys
evening.
for your time. You have a good evening.
All right, you too as well. Okay, we're going to go ahead and move to 6.0, reports and comments, 6.1. 6.1, report by San Bernardino Teachers Association, Ashley Alcala. Okay,
They're on
she's not
vacation.
here.
Vacation.
Okay, anybody? Okay,
Spring
spring
break.
break. Okay, let's move on. 6.2, report by California School Employees Association. Okay, spring break, let's go. 6.3, report by Communication Workers of America. They are here, okay.
Good evening. Today has been a pretty long day for us. We started out at 8 o'clock this morning with a workshop that was put on by, I keep forgetting their names, Johns and Susie Johns, and I forgot what the other lady's name was, but they both did an
Can't hear
excellent
you.
job.
Mike.
Can't hear me?
There you go, perfect.
They both did an excellent job of teaching us, talking about behavior and culture and working with students, which was good. I think we learned a lot. Although I spent a lot of time dealing with a lot of different substitute problems and issues, which I'm finding out that area vice presidents do. The other thing is Ron has been helping me out quite a bit. However, today was there, but now he says he's a little woozy and tired, so he wanted to do some more work, and I told him just stay home and rest. Anyway, that's pretty much everything that I think was going on. I know that while I was gone to Hawaii, you guys had a bullying workshop, which I missed. I would love to have gone to. I'd like to learn more about the bullying issue. Our orientations services that you're allowing us to have with the new substitutes that are coming in is, I think, doing a great job. We've got Ron Fletcher, Teresa Hunter, and Suzanne Blackstone working on it, so it's doing an excellent job. Anyway, that's pretty much it for today. I think we're kind of all worn out and tired. As you notice, I'm down to 2 people.
Okay.
All the rest of my group kind of just faded out.
All
So
right.
good night.
All right, good night. Good night. Thank you. 6.4, report by San Bernardino School Police Officers Association. None? Okay. 6.5, comments by board members. Okay, and I see Dr. Flores. And Dr. Wyatt, did you have anything? Okay, that way we can start off that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you think of something, you can go after me. He's thinking, so he can
Okay.
probably go after me. I have about 4 or 5 comments really quickly.
Okay.
I'm just really proud of us of passing the resolution of April 20th committee for the resolution to support federal gun control action and school safety. Given what we have experienced in this community with guns, it's apropos in terms of what we need to do. Then, Madam President, and also Dr. Marson, I'm glad you're here. We passed the support of teachers and students. So do we need procedures and policy to say what kinds of events they can partake or can organize?
We will generally follow what we did during the recent event that we had where students were organized, and we'll continue to support students and schools in that. Is that what you're asking?
Well, I know that they want to have like assemblies, and just to highlight, some schools would like to have assemblies.
Yeah, and so
and
we
also
would
have
support that.
teachers there and supporting students. The other time, the teachers could not participate because they were giving classes. So, I mean, I would think if at certain schools, you know, certain classes, certain teachers want to participate, or the whole school does, where I would think that would be apropos in terms of what
Yeah, we'll work closely with Ms. Alcala to think about some ways. That we can
ways. Oh, that would be great. I would think
support.
that would
You
be
bet.
great to work through with the teachers union. And then I just want to highlight again, Resolution 2.3, recognition of the Day of the Teacher. I think every day is the Day of the Teacher. If it weren't for teachers, where would we be? I know that my grandmother would tell this story. My great-grandfather was a teacher. And he would tell this story that, 5 friends decided that after 60 years they would come back together and, share their lives. And the first one said, well, I'm a doctor and I help my community. I'm an engineer. I help build bridges and buildings. I'm an attorney. I helped, people through legal, dilemmas. I'm this. I'm a pharmacist, and I help, protect people. I'm a physician, and it came to the last person, and he said, "Well, I'm a teacher, and without me, none of you would be who you are. It's teachers that teach us to be the professions we are. It's also our grandparents are our teachers, our aunts and uncles are our teachers, our neighbors are our teachers, our parents are our first teachers. So, I'm really glad that we did this, but I would think every day is recognition of Teacher Day. Then I just wanted to share, I spent all last week at CABE, and I'm proud to say that we were well represented, and there was 4,500 participants in Sacramento, and it was just amazing. And just like Pastor Casey said, in terms of unity, we had Dolores Huerta open it up, which was really tremendous. Dr. Enid Lee, African-American scholar, has worked with anti-racism, building community unity, also address the whole group. So it was very powerful, very, very powerful. The third keynote speaker was from NPR, Claudio Sanchez, and he also spoke about identity and culture and unity as well. So it was really wonderful. And then I just wanted to share with the board that I went a couple of days to the Family Leadership Institute that took place at Acoma, at the Acoma Center at the Ann Sherrill Center. There was about 40 families there, and it was very integrated with African-American families and Latino families. It was very heartwarming. I think Dr. Monadis went as well. And Dr. Volkemer, you were there as well. And I don't know if any other board members went. You went, Dr. Marston. And then I checked in yesterday to see how many high school kids at Arroyo are attending the SLIC program. It's their break, and there's 41 of them. There's 41 kids attending. And today, there's 44. And it's just powerful. We can only go at 8:30 or at 1:30 to hear their testimonies because that space is sacred. So I can't go until Thursday, so I think I'm going to go Thursday at 1:30. Anyway, so that's all my comments. But I'm just really delighted, and I hope everyone had a nice family Easter. I certainly did with my mother, who's 95, and she was very happy to have all her kids there and her grandkids. So anyway,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Hill, did you have anything?
Just a couple of things. One, I had the honor of going to the Cesar Chavez breakfast Saturday morning, and well attended, interesting and wonderful speakers. But my big excitement was looking at the 5 to 6 minute video on Helen Chavez, who was the wife. And I was just really impressed at the amount of work she had done during that period of time. And I didn't know about it, so I'm assuming our students do not either. And so again, I'm going to ask that we, some kind of way, work in our curriculum information about people that we hear about that's not in the history book, like Helen Chavez and the Dorothy Ingrams and the Frances Bryce, and people who've just contributed a lot, Ann Sherrill, et cetera. So there are a lot of people, a lot of local people, a lot of people in the state of California who've done good things. And, if you don't know, you don't know. But once we know it, if we don't share it with others so we can get it out there, then we're not doing our job. I also just want to remind you that tomorrow, April the 4th, is the 50th anniversary of the death of Dr. Martin Luther King. And I'm just hoping that will be a time that we all reflect on his death and understand the importance to be kind, respectful, courteous to everybody. We all deserve that respect. I don't care your age, your gender, your ethnicity, or anything, but it's important that we rejuvenate ourselves and learn to respect not only ourselves, but respect others. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, then if we move along. Ms. Rogers, did you want to?
Yeah, just a couple things. I agree what Dr. Hill said. We had a great time at the annual Cesar Chavez breakfast, and that was very impactful. And a matter of fact, there's a bill, I believe Assembly Member Gomez Reyes mentioned that they're working on to pass to have Helen Chavez Day. I think they said that. And then I also just had a great time attending the Anderson Olympics. That was just absolutely a great event to see those smiles and the things that they're doing over there. That was the first time I was ever able to get it into my schedule to go there. So I did enjoy it. We missed you, Mike, but it was a good time. And then I also want to, earlier when we were talking, and it seems that quite often there's certain specific things that we request as a board, and this came when we were talking about the multilingual initiative, and there's just specific things that we ask each time, and I would ask the district if we can just figure out what those same things are each time and just add them now to the presentation, because it's almost like every single time we're gonna ask the subgroup data, just if somehow that could be incorporated, then it will also keep you guys from having to go back to gather it, to bring it from a previous board meeting to another board meeting. And maybe we need to just have a conversation and input and everybody just say what were those things that we usually ask, and then going forward, the data is there for the district. So hopefully we can, all agree upon that. Additionally, I did want to also, at the last board meeting, the presentations, we had a young man and he had talked about the Future Leaders Program, and I had mentioned it on the board, and I want to see how we can either get it agendized also for BFL, because it's been ongoing, and I happen to actually talk to one of the founders of BFL as well, and we would like to get them to come down and give a presentation so we can see how that also mirrors with what the work that we're doing here in the district. I know the time period is coming up when it's the Black Future Leader that came out of Future Leaders. So if we can merge that and have those things, I think when they do have their events, it's separate times. So if we can get on that schedule, just like we were saying about the Love Fest, but I definitely would ask that if we can do that, and then any other information that we can get. But I know I've been in contact with some of the individuals that are some of the leaders in that group, and so the upcoming meeting, I'd like to see if we can schedule that. And then lastly, I know Reverend Casey mentioned it, but when we were at the CASA conference, the bill that he was referring to was AB 2635. So if the district could also look at that, supporting that, what it is for low-income students and students of color, additional LCAP funding. And I actually had a chance to be in the presentation from Shirley Weber. So if the district can look that up, that's again something we definitely should be supporting.
Are you asking for a resolution?
And a resolution in addition to it as well. Yeah, absolutely. So please, it's AB 2635. That's what it was. And they actually had us text. There was a way that you can text out just supporting, but we can do that as a district. I think it would be great. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Madam President, Ms. Rogers, did they have like a sample resolution that they handed out?
They didn't at that meeting, or at least I didn't get it, but I will
Yeah.
check. And Sam probably got additional information
Okay, that'll
after,
be
so
good.
we'll definitely
Okay.
get that.
Okay, great.
Okay, Mr. Gallo, did you have any comments?
Yes, thank you. I missed the Anderson Olympics because I was actually at a career fair at Ramona Alessandro Elementary School, and what a blast that was. I got to tell them what I do, at Kelly Space and Technology and things, and they drew pictures. We got one from Sierra. I'll show that to you in a minute, but I'll just read you a couple comments that they said, and the comments are a riot. I mean, I got like 100 of these letters, and they're all from like kindergartners all the way up through like 5th grade, I think, was the highest grade I get to see. This one, thank you for taking the time to showing us stuff. Mike Gallo did just a quick comment. Thank you for sharing your time investing. I think that it's really cool how you design things and engines. I hope to see you again next year. We got wow, I have never experienced that technology before, ever. Well, thanks for teaching us that. Then they draw a little picture of a rocket ship and stuff. And there was one that drew a little picture of me jumping out of airplanes at 40,000 feet back in the day, and when I was in the United States military and everything. That's what that's supposed to be. Yeah, it's really kind of funny. I don't know. You probably can't see this, but it's like one of the rocket engines. Everything I talked about, they drew a picture of, and it was really fun. If you've never like shared a career day or been there with the kids and everything, just kind of talk to them about what you do. It really is interesting what they come away with, and they love hearing about it, about how you get paid doing stuff you love to do, and that's kind of my hope for every kid, is they actually get inspired and engaged and get to spend their life actually being paid to do the things they love. So that's all I have.
Thank you so much for presenting that. Mr. Tillman, did you have anything? No? Dr. Wyatt?
Thank you, Madam President. Just wanted to let the public know we had a wonderful invitation here for the memorial service for North Park that's coming up here April 10th at 4 o'clock at Sandals Church, which Sandals has reopened one of our churches in the North End, and I was fortunate to visit them on Easter Sunday, and beautiful church, what they've done over there, invested over $2 million into the facility, and becoming a shining star in the north end of our city. The time starts reception at 4 o'clock, and program starts at 4:30. Which kind of Sandals Church at 3701 North Sierra Way, April 10th, and that is to honor our folks at North Park and our first responders. Kind of also leads me to bring up the IRC memorial that's over there on Waterman. We had a group of community members who went over there on Easter morning just to clean it up and spruce it up a bit. And I know that's a project that I believe the county has been given responsibility to take the lead on. But really nice to see our city members out there just taking care of that memorial as well. And I just want to give a really nice shout out to another community member that we have out there, Mr. Rob McDermott. Those of you that go up East Street over there by Castaway, there's a beautiful mural that says the All-American City, 1977. And if you haven't been up that way lately, he posted a picture today where he's redone it. And he's out there volunteering his time to really bring a positive image to our city. And I think it's folks like that that volunteer their time, as well as many of us in this room, that need to be the leaders in our community to make a difference. And I know we strive to do that every day, and it's just nice to see other folks out there doing it, and many folks in our community, and I just want to thank him publicly for what he's done. And then we heard a little bit about our Ds and Fs and what we're doing to address that, and I think it's extremely important that we do, and Ms. Rogers and others that have brought that forward and made that a top priority. I'm living it a little bit as a parent, and it is a struggle at times, and it all comes together with everything that we're doing in our district. And I want to applaud our folks for what they're doing on so many different levels. We heard about the Multilingual initiative and what we're doing with our mental health programs, and it all comes together though to tackle so many different challenges that we have. And then when we look at kids that are getting Ds and Fs, there's a reason for it. And I know it's not because our teachers don't want to teach them, but there are so many other reasons why our kids are failing and not performing well in school. And I mean, we could point our finger at so many things, but it's going to take a community effort to address, our students that are in 8th and 9th grade that are getting these grades. And I know as a parent, working with the school that my son's at, it takes a tremendous amount of resources, and that's with us understanding it and knowing it. So what about our students with the parents that maybe aren't as aware or communicate as much with our staff? I feel it's our responsibility to reach out to them and take the initiative and make that contact and say, how can we work together to make sure that all our sons and daughters and children succeed in our programs. So thank you, Madam President.
All right, thank you so much. And for my public comment, it will be very brief. It's just happy late Thanksgiving, Easter. And actually, I got a text saying Happy Thanksgiving the other day. But, I mean, we're doing amazing things in the school district, and we're going to continue to strive to do amazing things. And Dr. Marsden was not here earlier, but because he had a funeral arrangement that he had to attend, we're glad to see you here back with us. And I will go ahead and move to 6.6, comments by superintendent.
Thank you, Ms. Medina, and board, thank you for your understanding. We lost a dear friend of our family, and so appreciate the opportunity to attend tonight. Want to make a few comments. One, I'm so sorry I missed Elizabeth, the honoring of Elizabeth Cochrane-Benoit. That's fitting. She's accomplished a great deal in our community. We're very proud of her and so glad we could share in recognizing her further. And Ms. Rogers mentioned the Anderson Olympics that they had, and one thing that impressed me this time, I hadn't seen it before, is all high schools were represented. So I thought that was a pretty neat step forward, as a number of our schools are taking on Best Buddies programs and really adopting a positive mindset towards our students with special needs. And to me, that's just extremely valuable. I also, Mr. Gallo, attended a career day at Kendall Elementary School, and one of the students asked me, what's the most interesting or exciting thing you've ever done? And I had to think about it for a minute. And I remember I said, you know what it was, is I got to take a student, one of our students who wrote a letter to the president, Diego Vasquez. I got to take him live into the White House and meet President Obama and Vice President Biden and show off his writing. And the teacher said, what was his name? And I said, Diego Vasquez. She says, he was my teacher. So I thought that was neat, how it just happened to be that it was that classroom. So that was fun. Student recognition, want to congratulate Cajon High School's girls water polo team for taking first place in the Citrus Belt League, and congratulations to Chloe Casey for being named Citrus Belt League All-League Most Valuable Player, and congratulations to Coach John Anderson and Principal Tina Bishop and the entire water polo team. Something must be in the water at Cajon, because they're getting a lot of recognitions for their sports programs. And I also want to recognize a couple of our own board members here who congratulate Dr. Margaret Hill and Ms. Gwen Rogers recently on their recognitions. Dr. Hill has been selected as an Education Medal of Honor and Distinguished Service Award recipient by the San Bernardino County School Board Association and Board Vice President Mrs. Rogers. Actually, I think that's from the San Bernardino County Superintendent of Schools Office. And then Vice President Ms. Rogers received recognition for her community service at the 51st Annual Socialites Battalion Scholarship Awards Dinner. I know it was a surprise to her, and fitting for both of you as leaders in our community. Congratulations to both of you, and thank you for your outstanding leadership, service, and commitment to the city and the community of San Bernardino. Also want to thank our California Retired Teachers Association. On behalf of the board, I'd like to extend our appreciation to our partners with the California Retired Teachers Association for donating 10 $250 grants to enhance the student learning experience. So thank you again to our partners for your continued support, to the school district. And then again, as you heard about April 10th Memorial, we will have guests from Mrs. Smith's family speaking. We'll have Nolan Brandy's mother speaking, and we'll be recognizing Jonathan Martinez's memory as well at the service of board. Again, you're invited. Please let Karen Cunningham know if you'd like to attend. And then board, as a reminder that we have our next quarterly workshop on Tuesday, April 24th from 4 to 8 p.m. To continue our focus on the superintendent's informal evaluation process. And so we'll give those additional details from Karen will come to you shortly. Those are my comments. Thank you,
Okay,
Madam President.
and Karen, if you could try to add that to our calendars, and this would be for the vigil. Karen? Okay, if you can add that event to our calendars, the vigil, please, thank you.
The memorial?
Yes, the memorial. Yeah, Mr. Gallo?
Yeah, thank you. I was, Dale, I was going to ask you about the innovation grant awards and things. I
Yes,
think I
yes.
heard that a few people were recipients of it and everything. I didn't know if you were ready to disclose that or say who
They're
won.
coming forward to us, I believe, Ms. Santaveros, at the next meeting.
Okay,
So
cool.
You will
That'll
have
be
them
great.
all come forward.
Yeah, that'll be great. Thanks.
Okay, then we're going to go ahead and move to 7.0, consent calendar. Are there any items to be pulled?
Need a motion first. So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, any items to be pulled?
I would like to pull 7 point, what 10, what I think Dr. Bowman.
Yeah, I'm
Dr.
actually
Volkman.
going to pull item 7.10,
Okay.
and then I have a read-in for you, board, and then you can discuss it.
Okay, and then any other items? No other items? Okay, then we're going to go ahead. Any discussion on the current ones that we're going to put? If not, let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, motion carried. Let's go ahead and go to 7.10.
So if we could, Madam President, I'll just read, I'll read in, and then if there are any comments you may have. So the wording will change to as follows. I don't think you'll want to try to write all this, but we'll catch it in the minutes. So the title is Sponsorship for the Inland Empire Tech Odyssey Exhibit. And I think you have a handout of this at your station. Tech Odyssey Exhibit at the National Orange Show Citrus Fair, San Bernardino, California. Be it resolved that the Board of Education approves the sponsorship for the Inland Empire Tech Odyssey Exhibit at the National Orange Show Citrus Fair, San Bernardino, California, effective May 2nd through 5th, 2018. The Inland Empire Tech Odyssey Exhibit celebrates the integration of technology by the district and their community partners, like local nonprofits, employers, and businesses, to help develop the workforce of tomorrow. The participating schools are Norton Elementary School, Curtis Middle School, Indian Springs High School, Special Needs Students, San Bernardino High School, Special Needs Students, and San Andreas High School. The sponsorship, not to exceed $5,000, will be paid for from the Unrestricted General Fund Business Services Division account number 068. Be it further resolved that the Board of Education authorizes Deborah Love, Director of Purchasing, to sign all related documents.
So moved.
Well, I also have.
Yes. Dr. Hill?
Thank you. And my comment is, our students are doing such wonderful things, and I'm hoping either through our student board members, or if we can do in addition with the San Bernardino Area Chamber of Commerce, and have our activities presented at city council meeting so that we can notify the entire city of what our students are doing. So if we could just plan on doing that in the future, I think it'll be good, because I hear from so many people who will say, oh, I didn't know that was going on, and what have you. So it's another way to market what our students are doing. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, so then we're going to go ahead
There's a
and...
motion, you need a second.
Yes.
Second.
Any further discussion? If not, let me go ahead and call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, motion carried. We're going to go ahead and go to 8.0, for action items, 8.1, personnel report, number 17, dated April 3rd, 2018. Dr. Wiseman?
As presented.
Okay, great.
So moved.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, let's call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, motion carried. 8.2, approval of transportation and cell phone allowances for the directors of communications, community relations, and school police.
So moved. Second.
Okay, any discussion? Let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, motion is carried. Let's go to 8.3, approval of the amendment of the Special Education Memorandum of Understanding governing special education between San Bernardino City Unified School District and Bellington Academy for the Arts and Sciences, San Bernardino. I need a motion.
So moved. Second.
Okay, any discussion? Seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, motion is carried. 8.0, no, there's no more 8 points. Okay, so then we're going to go ahead and go to closed session, 9.0, and we are about 15, no. And we will be reporting out, and we're ahead, so hopefully we can keep that till the end of the meeting. Thank you so much. Dr. Flores is about to approach the podium, so, the speakers, so that we're four of us. So, coming back from closed session, be it resolved that the Board of Education accepts the notice of recommendation for disciplinary action and statement of charges to suspend without pay for 3 days the following classified employee from his or her employment with the district. HR class 171807. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, let's go ahead and call for a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, motion carries, and I'm going to go ahead and ask for a motion and second to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Okay, meeting adjourned.